Family Cultivation. I can improve my magic weapon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 826. The Effect of the Green Mirror. Returning to Lingbao Mountain, the green mirror flashed with light, and the cracks on it healed quickly, visible to the naked eye, and returned to their original appearance. On the smooth and bright mirror, halos of light flowed like waves on the lake surface, and then returned to calm. After the strengthening was completed, Chen Qingyun began to pay attention to the changes, and was highly concentrated, guarding against the green brilliance mirror suddenly flying away. Green brilliant mirror, a medium-grade spiritual treasure. The green brilliance mirror has been shown to be a mid-grade spiritual treasure, and its appearance has not changed significantly. On the contrary, I have a somewhat different feeling in terms of my perception of the connection with this spiritual treasure. A kind of telepathy seems to be established with Mo Ling, Bei Ling and other spiritual pets. This feeling was very strange. The green brilliance mirror also sensed this, and a ray of light flashed on the mirror, like a breathing lamp, suspended in the air, and circled around Chen Qingyun twice. This kind of performance, as if it has vitality, immediately shows that it is different from other spiritual treasures. It is indeed a weapon spirit, but it has not yet transformed into a human form. It only exists in the magic weapon for the time being. Sensing this subtle connection, Chen Qingyun made a thought in his mind, and following his thoughts, the green brilliance mirror rotated 3 times in the air, and then rose and fell. It did not appear that it would fly away as expected. Instead, it was very obedient, and it seemed that it recognized its master. Everything is normal. It seems to be a false alarm. Chen Qingyun couldn't help but smile. After groping carefully for a while, he had a clear understanding of the spiritual treasure. This green brilliance mirror seems to be a mid-grade spiritual treasure. Since the weapon spirit was born, its value can no longer be measured by spiritual treasures. Regarding the power it possesses after repair, the green brilliance mirror can release a kind of glow to defeat the magic weapon. The magic weapon that is hit will temporarily lose its power effect. This defeating effect can last for 3 seconds. Against magic weapons that are 1 or 2 levels higher, the effect will be weakened. This effect seems to have little lethality. It can only affect the magic weapon and cannot attack the caster. It can be used in conjunction with other magic weapons, or to assist monks in fighting to resolve a single magic weapon attack, which is very practical. This reminded Chen Qingyun of the Cauldron of All Things. Once used together, use the green brilliance mirror to attack the enemy's magic weapon first, causing it to fall into a state of temporary power failure, and then use the Cauldron of All Things to collect it. In this way, whether it is a magical weapon of the same level or 1 or 2 levels higher, you can easily use it for your own use. The Cauldron of All Things itself has the effect of collecting enemy magic weapons. With the help of the green brilliance mirror, it is even more powerful. More importantly, due to the existence of this weapon spirit, it has self-awareness and can fight the enemy on its own without the need to deliberately control it. This restoration was well worth it. Chen Qingyun stayed with his family for almost a month. After all the books were copied, he left Lingjian Island. In order to prepare for the 5 Elements Island team more than 4 years later, they also need to equip some equipment to restrain ghost cultivators. The more the better. Over at Lingbao Mountain, Chen Qingyun decided to go there. I am going to entrust Liu Zilin to refine some thunder and fire talismans, which can be used to deal with some golden elixir ghost cultivators and preserve mana. When I arrived at Lingbao Mountain, I didn't see Liu Zilin. This time, Chen Qingyun flew out to greet her. "Uncle 6, you are indeed here. I've been waiting for you." Chen Qingyun's face showed joy, and he invited Chen Qingyun to sit down and rest in Liu Zilin's cave, and served him spiritual fruit tea. Chen Qingyun looked around, but did not see Liu Zilin, and subconsciously asked, "Where is your master?" As soon as the words fell, Chen Qingyun could only be heard saying with a slight smile, "Master guessed that you will come recently, so let me pay more attention." Master has encountered some bottlenecks in his method of making talismans recently. He is still in retreat. Maybe he can break through to the 4th level. Also, Master has already told me in advance that if Uncle 6 comes, you can just stay in Master's cave. Master has already arranged this residence matter and specifically asked me to tell you, so there is no summons to explain to you. Preparing to make a talisman, I will be promoted to the 4th level of the best so soon. Chen Qingyun nodded slowly. Now that he has made arrangements and won't go anywhere else for the time being, it doesn't hurt to wait. Okay, then according to your master's wishes, I will stay in Lingbao Mountain for a while. Chen Qingyun temporarily stayed in Lingbao Mountain, chatted with Chen Nianwei, and found that his niece's cultivation had improved and she had reached the late stage of foundation building. It seems that following Liu Zilin's practice, my niece has obtained a lot of resources, so she doesn't have to worry about resources. In terms of making talismans, it has reached the 3rd level mid-level level, which is a great improvement. In order to encourage and reward, Chen Qingyun gave Nianwei some elixirs that he could not use and would help the foundation building monks improve their cultivation. During the chat, he asked her how she was doing in the sect and whether she had suffered any grievances. Uncle 6, everything is fine with me here, but you should come here more often. Master has been talking about you a lot these days. After just 2 months of waiting, Liu Zilin successfully came out of seclusion, made a talisman, and successfully advanced to the 4th level of the best level. The two met this time and talked for several hours, enjoying the peaceful time together. After learning the purpose of Chen Qingyun's visit, Liu Zilin showed a smile and said softly, "We need a 4th level thunder attribute talisman. You must be preparing to start something important in the near future. I happen to have some thunder spirit grass, golden thunderwood spirit liquid, 4th level monster skin and other materials in my hand. I can refine up to 10 of them. As for the refining time, you have to wait for 1 or 2 months to see if you are in a hurry to use it." She did not ask what Chen Qingyun wanted these thunder attribute talismans for. As long as Chen Qingyun wanted them, she was willing to give them. Later, while waiting, Chen Qingyun walked around in the Holy Artifact Hall and admired some of the high-level magic tools here. After a look, he found that the magic tools here no longer met his needs. The highest listed was the 4th level top-grade magic tool. Although there were 5th level magic tools in Lingbao Mountain, they were not displayed but collected. If I want to improve the art of refining, the Holy Artifact Hall can no longer help me. My progress over the years has indeed been rapid. Looking back on the journey along the way, Chen Qingyun was a little emotional. I once followed Liu Zilin into the Holy Artifact Hall to observe and learn some methods of refining 2nd level and 3rd level magic tools. At that time, this was a treasure land, and I wanted to move here to live. Now, with the attainments of a 4th level top-grade weapon refiner, there is no magic weapon in this Holy Artifact Hall that Chen Qingyun cannot refine. And the cultivation of the nascent soul stage makes Chen Qingyun a powerful cultivator in Lingbao Mountain at the moment. If it weren't for Liu Zilin, Chen Nianwei would not often set foot in Lingbao Mountain. After Chen Qingyun left the Holy Artifact Hall, Qin Zixun learned of Chen Qingyun's arrival and secretly paid attention to him. Chapter 827, Green Smoke Forms Pills. Gathering in the foggy market. Qin Zixun expanded her consciousness and locked onto Chen Qingyun. She was surprised to find that she could not see through Chen Qingyun's cultivation. Strange, it's only been a few years since we last met, but this boy's cultivation has become unfathomable. Even with my cultivation at the peak of the golden core stage, I can't see through it. Could it be that he has already polished his cultivation at the peak of the golden core stage and is laying the foundation for forming a baby, and will prepare to form a baby in the next few years? That's incredible. Qin Zixun guessed, secretly surprised. Looking back on the past, she was very glad that she didn't offend Chen Qingyun and create any gaps. As for Chen Qingyun's specific strength, she knew that she couldn't get anything out of Liu Zilin, so she didn't disturb Chen Qingyun and told her disciples not to provoke him. And how could Qin Zixuan's actions be hidden from Chen Qingyun's eyes? When she was locked by the other party's consciousness, she noticed it at the first time. In terms of cultivation, Qin Zixuan is quite remarkable. Now she has reached the peak of the golden core. If she practices for a few more years, she will have some foundation for forming a baby. There is some hope for condensing the human vein nascent soul. As for the earth vein nascent soul, it depends on whether Lingbao Mountain can get the Mother Earth's energy, Xuanying jade marrow and other nascent soul spiritual objects. There was no harvest in the holy artifact hall, and it was not easy to ask these Lingbao Mountain refining masters, so Chen Qingyun could only explore on his own. In the following days, Chen Qingyun met an old friend in the sect Sun Tai. It has been a long time since I saw Sun Tai again. Somewhat unexpectedly, Sun Tai's cultivation has reached the peak of the Purple Mansion period. If I polish my cultivation, I can try to form a pill. When we first met, Sun Tai was still at the foundation building stage. Now he has made such rapid progress, which must be due to his own efforts. He should have gained some opportunities in the secluded Immortal Palace. He is also the deacon of Lingbao Mountain, so he can get more resources. With these factors combined, it is not difficult to advance to the peak of the Purple Palace. The realm of the Purple Palace is far less difficult than the Golden Elixir stage. Now, he is at the same realm as Nangong Yuang, who is stronger between him and Nangong Yuang. Thinking of Sun Tai's life experience, Chen Qingyun is now a little curious about how much chance Nangong Yuang has of winning against Sun Tai's revenge. Since he reached the Golden Elixir stage, Chen Qingyun has not paid attention to Nangong Yuang's dynamics. When this person was in the secluded Immortal Palace, he faced the choice between the Immortal Palace Scroll and the Snow Spirit Fairy Dew, and chose the Immortal Palace Scroll. He did not choose the Snow Spirit Fairy Dew, which seems to be a treasure that can form an elixir. Or, he prefers to sit in the position of the first Purple Mansion in the Star Sea and is reluctant to let go. After all, after breaking through the Giant stage, although his strength exceeds that of any Purple Mansion cultivator. But among the same level, he is not necessarily the first, but is inferior to those veteran Giant cultivators and does not have any advantage. Chen Qingyun is not very interested in Nangong Yuang's recent developments. When he saw Chen Qingyun, Sun Tai chose to avoid him directly, always worried that Chen Qingyun would attack him. Yuanying stage cultivator embarrasses Purple Mansion cultivator? Chen Qingyun has no intention of targeting Sun Tai. He just thinks this person is a little interesting. After living in Lingbao Mountain for more than a month, Liu Zilin completed the refining and handed the talisman to Chen Qingyun. These 9 Thunderstorm Skyfire talismans are all of the 4th grade top grade level. They can instantly cast Thunderstorm Skyfire, which can play an extremely good role in restraining demon cultivators and ghost cultivators. I have limited materials on me, so I can only make these at present. If you need more, just ask me. Because she was in love with Chen Qingyun, she did not charge any fees, nor did she ask Chen Qingyun what he was going to do next, and told Chen Qingyun to be careful. 9. 4th grade Thunder and Fire dual attribute talismans are enough. In about 4 years, I need to go on a long journey. Chen Qingyun said. Because the agreement was signed, the relevant information of the 5 Elements sect ruins could not be disclosed to the outside world, so it had to be kept secret. There were still more than 3 years left, and when the agreed date came, Chen Qingyun simply stayed in Lingbao Mountain and strolled around the Qingguang market from time to time. Half a year later, Li Mubing sent a message to contact Chen Qingyun to remember this matter and not miss it during his retreat. Fellow Taoist Chen, the 30-year agreement is approaching. We will meet again in 3 years. Time flies. 2 years have passed in a blink of an eye. Chen Qingyun successfully formed a pill and entered the golden pill stage. He did not use the golden pill and monster resources in the family, but reserved them for Chen Daoran, Chen Dalin and other elders. Chen Qingyun's approach has won a lot of praise in the family. The success of forming a pill in one fell swoop also made the Chen family excited. Chen Qingyun was listed as a role model in the family, inspiring the younger generations of the family to strive for progress and practice hard. Chen Qingyun returned to Zhenhai Island and celebrated Chen Qingyun's success in forming a pill with Chen Xianming, Chen Qingyun, Chen Daoran and others. He stayed for a few days. Due to the improvement of his cultivation, Chen Qingyun's status as a patrol star envoy changed, and he was promoted from a purple order to a gold order patrol star envoy. The promotion of status also brought more salary benefits. The news that Chen Qingyun was promoted to the golden order patrol envoy quickly spread throughout the Qing sect and the Zhenghai. This achievement made the Chen family's status rise again. On the surface, the Chen family had 3 giant cultivators. In the blink of an eye, another year had passed, and the date agreed with Li Mubing and others was approaching. Chen Qingyun used this time to refine weapons and learn the art of formations, and gain some results. First of all, he gained a lot in terms of strengthening points, and upgraded the Zhuxiantu to the middle grade level, doubling its power. In terms of formations, he has made significant progress in the past 2 years, from the entry level a year ago to the second grade extreme level now. Liu Zilin has also made some progress, and her weapon refining skills have been upgraded to the 4th grade upper grade level, following Chen Qingyun's pace. The advantages of the heavenly spiritual roots are more and more outstanding in the Jiandan and Yuanying stages, which can greatly widen the gap with other cultivators. On this day, the communication talisman on Chen Qingyun's body rang, and he received a message from Li Mubing. Fellow, Taoist Chen, see you at the Zhuxian Tower on Ziwu Island in the middle of 3 months. After 2 months, after notifying Liu Zilin, Chen Qingyun sacrificed the wind and thunderbolt and set off for the direction of Wuan Island. On Ziwu Island, Chen Qingyun rented a temporary cave in the Wuzong market on the island, waiting for Li Mubing and others to arrive. While waiting, he strolled around the market, sold some of the spiritual medicines he planted, earned more than 5,000 spiritual stones, and met Luohuzi here. Seeing Luohuzi again, he greeted him warmly. Fellow, Taoist Chen, it has been more than 10 years since we last met at the Wanbao conference. You didn't even come to visit me all these years, but I have been looking forward to it for a long time. Luohuzi spoke carelessly, not treating Chen Qingyun as an outsider, and was quite straightforward, opening the chatterbox as soon as he opened his mouth. Chapter 828 Old Monster Yen invites foreign aid. Regarding Luohuzi's enthusiasm, Chen Qingyun responded politely and noticed that there was another person next to Luohuzi. He was a thin middle-aged man wearing a sun hat. This person was dressed very casually and looked like an ordinary fish seller. He did not have any aura of a cultivator. He didn't speak from the beginning to the end, just squinting his eyes and watching quietly. Although the middle-aged man's cultivation level was not explored, with the keen perception of the nascent soul cultivator, it can be accurately seen that this man is a golden core cultivator. Luohuzi watched the words and expressions, noticed Chen Qingyun's gaze, and immediately laughed and said, "Look at me, I'm just complaining to you. I almost forgot to introduce you." After saying that, Luohuzi patted the shoulder of the person next to him and introduced, "This is Luo's friend Yan Legui, the helper invited this time. Let's just say that when it comes to formations, he is unique. He has several brushes. He is particularly good at arranging fire attribute formations. He is very skilled. In a few days, we will have to discuss with you to let him participate in the operation together, so as to assist Luo in cracking the formation." Old Monster Yen smiled slightly and cupped his hands towards Chen Qingyun. "Fellow, Taoist Chen." Chen Qingyun nodded symbolically. Under the introduction of Luohuzi, this old monster Yen was named Hu Yanao. He looked unkempt and did not look like an immortal cultivator, but he could not be underestimated. This person is an immortal cultivator from the Sea of 10,000 Demons, coming from Danfu Island in the Penglai Immortal Domain. Speaking of which, he is a fellow disciple of Master Yuan Fu, and his cultivation has reached the peak of the Golden Core. The guess was indeed good. This time when exploring the ruins of the Five Elements sect, someone in the team would invite foreign aid to increase the chance of winning. After all, the last time I explored, I was only active in the outer sect area of the Five Elements sect. I encountered ghost cultivators whose strength had already reached the golden elixir stage, which was a bit challenging. This time we are going to explore a more dangerous inner formation, and we are very likely to encounter the nascent soul ghost cultivator. Based on the strength of the team last time, it is obviously still lacking in firepower. However, because several people signed an agreement before, if you want to invite foreign aid, you must get the support of more than half of the people, otherwise it will not count. Therefore, it is still uncertain whether this old monster Yan can participate. Luohuzi will probably not explain what this action is, and will keep it secret for the time being, allowing old monster Yan to guess by himself. During the conversation, Luohuzi and old monster Yan each released their spiritual consciousness, which fell on Chen Qingyun intentionally or unintentionally. However, Chen Qingyun had already restrained his cultivation and used miscellaneous to cover his aura. Even the nascent soul cultivator would have a hard time detecting anything. The two of them, old monster Yan, felt that nothing had been detected. When they looked at Chen Qingyun, they saw a smile on his face, which they had expected. Old monster Yan was secretly surprised, withdrew his consciousness, and said nothing with a heavy look on his face. Luohuzi was embarrassed, and with a smile on his face, he changed the subject and said, "It will still take some time, and I don't know if the other people are here. Oh, by the way, that fellow Taoist Lu is here too. Why don't you see him with you?" Luohuzi looked around, but did not see Bawang, so he asked casually, "Brother, Lu is very busy these days. He won't show up for a few days." After a brief chat, Chen Qingyun took the initiative to say goodbye and disappeared into the sea of people. When Chen Qingyun left, the old monster Yan said with some doubts, "According to what you said, this Chen Qingyun's strength is no less than that of a peak golden core cultivator. But at such an age, is this person really reliable?" "Absolutely reliable." Luohuzi nodded heavily. "There is no doubt about this person's strength. In the past 30 years, he must be more powerful than before." When old monster Yan heard this, he still didn't believe it. He raised his eyebrows and said, "But I just checked his cultivation level, and there was no sign that he was in the same realm as me. He doesn't look like a master." Hearing this, Luohuzi spread his hands and said, "Hey, don't underestimate him. There are so many techniques to cover up your cultivation in this world. We don't want to be blinded by a leaf, let alone rely on this method to verify his strength. If you believe Mr. Luo, I'm afraid Chen Qingyun's strength is still above yours. I'm definitely not kidding you." Hearing this, old monster Yan looked in the direction where Chen Qingyun disappeared and said, "Beyond me, could it be that he has really reached the peak of the golden core?" "Most likely." "Hey, it doesn't matter. You don't look at people like that crazy old guy who doesn't know what to do. What are you planning to do this time? You are so mysterious." Old monster Yan asked unwillingly, guessing that it had something to do with where he was going to hunt for treasures, and wanted to get some advice from Luohuzi. Luohuzi had no intention of revealing more, and kept it secret, saying, "You may know it later." It's hard to say anything at this time. After parting ways with Luohuzi, Chen Qingyun secretly noticed their actions with his spiritual consciousness, heard their conversation, and just turned a blind eye. This Luohuzi was also a trustworthy person and did not reveal any information related to the ruins of the Five Elements sect. For a period of time that followed, Chen Qingyun rarely went out and basically studied the formations in the cave. Due to the lack of nascent soul stage skills, the subsequent practice progress is slow, so it is better to put it aside temporarily and do other things. After reaching the nascent soul stage, many monks will choose to learn some arts of cultivating immortals, or cultivate spiritual beasts to improve their strength and enrich their own heritage. Time flies so fast, and the date of the appointment arrives in a blink of an eye. Chen Qingyun released Bawang and disguised Bawang as an old man in green. He temporarily restrained his cultivation and prepared to act according to the opportunity. Whether to show off your cultivation and release the nascent soul aura at the same time depends on the team's strength at that time, or whether to show only part of the 8 desolate forces. The inner sect of the Five Elements sect is extremely dangerous, and I don't know what I will experience. For the sake of safety, I'd better leave 2 clones behind if there is a chance to rebuild. Chen Qingyun thought about it, and took out the 2 clones of Fengling and Jianzhuan, and left them in this cave as 2 lives. In case he encounters any danger at that time, he and all his clones will die in the Five Elements sect. If that time really comes, there will be no chance to rebuild again. After reserving a backup plan and leaving some important personal belongings behind, Chen Qingyun set off and headed towards the gathering point. Mist Market, Zhuxiantu. It was the morning of a day, and many guests had gathered here. The atmosphere was quite lively, mixed with the laughter of children. In a high-end private room on the 2nd floor, Li Mubing and others were already waiting early, whispering something. Li Mubing noticed the arrival of Chen Qingyun and Baoang and informed them of the location of the private room. Chen Qingyun followed the instructions and entered the private room, where he saw Wohuzi and Yan Legui. He turned his eyes and found a strange face sitting next to Mu Daoren. She was an old lady wearing a snow-white elegant robe and a kind face. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 829 Lingbo Island, Granny Zhu, Deu Chen. Deu, Lu. Seeing Chen Qingyun and Baoang appear, Li Mubing, Mu Daoren and others immediately stood up and greeted them. Songzhen and Zhu also stood up respectfully and saluted. Hello, Senior Chen. Hello, Senior Lu. When Xiumen was still taciturn and did not speak, she just glanced at Chen Qingyun and Baoang and then looked away and fell on the old woman. This was the 2nd time to explore the ruins of the Five Elements sect. There were 2 more people than before. This scene also made Wen Xiumen pay attention. Chen Qingyun glanced at the situation in the private room and nodded lightly. Baoang hummed, and in order to keep it secret, he did not mean to say more. Li Mubing and others had long been accustomed to Baoang's every move, and they all focused on Chen Qingyun. Deu, Chen, we meet again, come over here and sit. Luo Huzi took the lead in inviting Chen Qingyun, and Baoang went over to take a seat. Chen Qingyun was not polite. After taking Baoang to sit down, he glanced at everyone. There is no need to say more about Wen Xiumen and several old partners. They know each other well and do not need to be introduced. When his eyes swept over Yan Legui, Chen Qingyun did not stop, and he already knew the origin of this person. When he looked at the old woman in white robe, his eyes paused. From the moment he came in, there were 20 seats in this private room, and this person happened to sit next to Mu Daoren, separated from the other people by several seats. Based on this point, it is obvious that this is the person brought by Mu Daoren. As expected. Everyone noticed that Chen Qingyun's eyes paused, and the organizer Li Mubing did not speak. Wohuzi and Wen Xiumen also kept silent. It was Mu Daoren who squeezed out a smile at this moment and took the initiative to speak. Fellow Taoist Chen, fellow Taoist Lu, you are the last to arrive. Let me introduce you. Mu Daoren looked at the people around him and said slowly, this is the island owner of Lingbo Island, Granny Zhu. She is in the late giant stage of cultivation. She is approachable and kind, and has a compassionate heart. She is the helper I called this time. I believe you too have heard about Lingbo Island. Hearing the word Lingbo Island, Chen Qingyun's expression moved secretly, and he looked at Granny Zhu with some curiosity. After a closer look, this person's temperament is the most unique in the whole venue. It can make people feel close and harmonious, giving people a feeling of gentle breeze and drizzle, moistening things silently. At first glance, there is no sharpness and edge of the giant and cultivator. This cultivator from Lingbo Island is indeed a little unusual. This made Chen Qingyun think of the information about Lingbo Island, and he began to be a little curious. Could it be that this person has the 9 curved spirit liquid in his hand at this moment? As Chen Qingyun was looking at it, Granny Zhu smiled politely, and the Taoist Mu also introduced it in detail. Lingbo Island is a small immortal cultivation force in the Wanjiantu Sea, also known as the Narcissus lineage. Its founder was the once famous and beloved giant and cultivator Lingbo Fairy. The reason why it is famous is that Lingbo Island has a special geographical location and is loved by heaven and earth. 9 strange spiritual springs were bred on the island. These 9 spiritual springs will produce a spiritual object called Jiayuk spiritual liquid all year round. This object is complementary to some spiritual medicines and can have an excellent effect of healing the soul of the cultivator. However, the spiritual charm of this Jiayuk spiritual liquid cannot be preserved for too long. It can only last for 15 days when taken out of the spiritual spring. As long as it is not used in time, the medicinal effect will be lost when it expires, and it is no different from ordinary water. In the early days, Lingbo Island attracted some covetousness from the outside world because of these Jiayuk spiritual liquids, and was almost occupied by people. It was the kind-hearted Lingbo Fairy who began to show her benevolence and kindness, providing the 9 Ben spiritual liquid for free to the cultivators in need, helping to heal their souls and provide them with assistance. Over time, this accumulated an excellent reputation, saved Lingbo Island, and spread a great reputation. As the saying goes, if you often walk by the river, you will get your shoes wet. Who can guarantee that you will not encounter a time when you need to ask for help from them? And the Lingbo Fairy herself has an extraordinary temperament, elegant and dignified. She is not only worthy of being a fairy who comes from the upper world and falls into the mortal world. She has also accumulated a reputation and created a large number of admirers. Many people are willing to come forward to protect Lingbo Island and save this piece of pure land. In this way, Lingbo Island has been continued and passed down from generation to generation. The owner of Lingbo Island this time is Granny Zhu. It is worth mentioning that there is a special thing about Lingbo Island, that is, all the cultivators on the island are female cultivators, and they never marry. How to give birth to offspring depends on their ancestral lineage. Unholy spring water. This lineage unholy spring water was invented by them. Women can get pregnant after drinking a sip, achieving the effect of reproducing offspring. It is also magical. So far, all the children born by these Lingbo Island female cultivators are girls. This is another magical thing about Lingbo Island, which makes people talk about it with relish. It is also because of this that Lingbo Island has not grown much in scale in the past 900 years. In addition to Granny Zhu, there are 2 other giant and cultivators, Fairy Shuaiyun and Old Man Jinhua, and the rest of the more than 100 people are all female cultivators. It is rumored that the owner of Penglai Island in Penglai Fairyland was blessed by Lingbo Island when he was young and was pulled back from the brink of life and death by Fairy Lingbo. Since then, Lingbo Island has been protected by Penglai Fairyland. It is in existence in the sea of 10,000 monsters that looks small in strength, but in fact no one dares to provoke it at will. After reviewing the information about Lingbo Island in his mind, Chen Qingyun couldn't help but look up to this Taoist Mu. Because according to the style of Lingbo Island, not only do they not like to kill, but they also don't like to get involved in many disputes. Their forces only want to live in seclusion and rescue some monks who come with requests from time to time. In fact, just based on this point, they can establish a wide network of people and build a reputation. If you want to obtain some precious resources, it will be much easier, and you don't need to go treasure hunting and risk yourself in danger. Since she has this ability, why does this Z Granny come to this mess? She can just not participate and stay in Lingbo Island. At this moment, it's not just Chen Qingyun who has this doubt and thinks of this. Including Li Mubing, Wen Ziumen and others. They have heard of the reputation of Lingbo Island and know the style of the monks of Lingbo Island. Their eyes can't help but look back and forth between Taoist Mu and Z Granny, which makes Taoist Mu scratch his head awkwardly. That Luohuzi spoke quickly and directly joked, "Old Mu, you backed out last time, but this time you not only continued to participate, but also invited this living Bodhisattva to come. By the way, you didn't use any unethical means, did you?" Chapter 830 Thunder Beast, vote by raising hands. If this question from Luohuzi had been asked by another strange monk, Taoist Mu would have had to fight back. They even get into fights, swearing and seeking death, which directly triggers a fight. But the current situation is special. Guessing that someone would have this doubt, Mu Taoran smiled bitterly and said, "Oh, I don't say this casually. How can I have the courage? If this is really a trick that threatens fellow Taoist Zhou and wants to kill or behead him, I will do whatever I want and I will never fight back." Seeing that someone seemed to have misunderstood, Granny Zhou also spoke at this time in a light tone in order to clear up everyone's misunderstanding. "Fellow Taoists, please do not blame this good friend of mine. The reason why the old woman came here this time is to return a favor to fellow Taoist Mu. This involves human relationships, so there's something to be said for that. Every giant and monk has some connections, involving many fields. Most of the time, giant and monks are not only acting for their own interests. At the same time, they will also consider participating in some battles in order to maintain connections, family, or sect. Seeing that Granny Zhou stopped talking and didn't elaborate, Taoist Mu had no intention of continuing to explain. After all, Luohuzi was an old man who had lived for hundreds of years, so he didn't ask further questions. He touched the beard on his chin, squinted his eyes and joked with a smile, "Humphrey, I scared you so much. I don't expect you to ask for trouble and offend the Narcissus lineage of Lingbo Island. This time we have such an expert to help us, our chances of winning this time are even better." As soon as Luohuzi finished speaking, Mu Taoist saw that he had reached the bottom of the steps, and he immediately nodded with a smile and gave a long hum. "My Taoist friend Mu is naturally trustworthy." Li Mubing tried to smooth things over and avoided the topic, lest continuing to talk about it would embarrass Granny Zhou. She brought up a new topic and said, "Not only are fellow Taoist Yan and Senior Zhou participating in this operation, I am also somewhat prepared." As she spoke, she reached out and brushed the spirit beast bag around her waist, summoning a golden tiger-shaped spirit beast. She smiled slightly and said, "Look, everyone, I borrowed a 4th-level spirit beast from my sister. This spiritual beast is about the size of a tiger, with golden hair all over its body, and its appearance is somewhat similar to that of a tiger. The most striking thing is that this beast has a pair of golden wings. It looks majestic and has the aura of the king of beasts." Thunderman Luohuzi was well informed and recognized the origin of the spiritual beast at a glance, with a look of interest on his face. Luo Dao's friendly eyesight is none other than the Thunder Beast. Li Mubing said, reaching out and touching the Thunder Beast's head. "Oops, ouch, ouch." A voice filled with surprise and excitement came from Taoist Mu. Seeing the Thunder Beast, Mu Taoran rubbed his hands and showed a look of excitement as if he were seeing a treasure. He couldn't help but step forward and look around the Thunder Beast. This Thunder Beast is a naturally raised Thunder attribute monster. Its bloodline strength has reached the 4th level of high grade. When it reaches adulthood, it will have the strength to rival the peak Golden Elixir monks. If I remember correctly, the green fire sky thunder it releases is the nemesis of evil spirits. You Qingguang monks are actually so knowledgeable and have cultivated such a Thunder Beast. I really envy you. Mu Taoran's eyes shone and he was amazed. He couldn't help but stretched out his palm to touch the head of this big guy. His move caused the Thunder Beast to roar low, avoid the palm, and lean against Li Mubing. Chen Qingyun was also attracted by this Thunder Beast and thought of the Thunder Beasts of the past. Both of these were Thunder attribute monsters, but they were different in appearance and bloodline strength. The Thunder Beast is more powerful and can be tamed and cultivated, making it suitable as a spiritual beast, while the Thunder Beast is wild and difficult to tame. Thunder Beast felt a little resigned to the situation and didn't like Mu Taoran's behavior, so he took the initiative to return to the spirit beast bag. Li Mubin brought up the topic and continued. "Everyone, 30 years have passed since the last cooperation. Now that everyone is here, let's talk about this cooperation. At the moment, the main focus is to continue to hunt for treasures. Naturally, it is not suitable to talk about other topics at this time. Now, with the addition of Old Monster Yen, Grandma Zhou, and a Thunder Beast, the lineup alone has surpassed the past." Chen Qingyun didn't mean to say anything. He said something polite, and then went straight to the point. Do you still remember the content of the original agreement? Of course I remember. Mu Ta'aran nodded and said seriously, according to the agreement, if you want to invite foreign aid to join, you must get the approval of more than half of the team. Li Mubing nodded slightly and looked at Chen Qingyun, Bawang, and Wen Xiumen. Whether the addition of foreign aid can be successful now depends on what they want. Luo voted first, and I agree. Luo Huzi didn't like Moji, so he was the first to speak. You guys should vote quickly. I count as one. After Luo Huzi, Mu Ta'aran also made a choice. Since these two people have brought foreign aid, there is no need to ask, they must definitely agree, otherwise there is no need to bother. They mainly have to see whether Chen Qingyun, Li Mubing and others will agree. Ever since, the eyes of Luo Huzi and Mu Ta'aran fell on Li Mubing intentionally or unintentionally. As the organizer of this cooperation, Li Mubing must have a certain say. Moreover, Song Xin and Zhu Ying are both from Xuanbing Island where she is, and they will definitely stand on her side and make the same choice. So it seems that as long as Li Mubing agrees, she will get the support of 3 more candidates. When the agreement was signed, there were a total of 8 people. Now that 5 people have passed, there is no need to look at the opinions of Chen Qingyun, Bawang, and Wen Xiumen. Faced with the choice, Li Mubing did not rush to give an answer. She knew that once she made a choice, Chen Qingyun's choice would have no effect. She secretly asked Wen Xiumen about her opinion, and she agreed by default. Now, it depends on how Chen Qingyun and Bawang choose. Thinking of this, out of respect, she looked at Chen Qingyun and asked tentatively, fellow Taoist Chen, what do you think? This question immediately made Chen Qingyun the focus of the whole audience. Luo Huzi, Wen Xiumen and others who had seen Chen Qingyun's strength knew that Chen Qingyun had the capital to make Li Mubing respect him, and even admire him. Old Monster Yen and Granny Zhu, who had never seen him, could not help but look at Chen Qingyun a few more times. Because although they didn't know what this cooperation was about, they could guess roughly that it was related to the exploration of some opportunity treasure. Now it seems that this team is headed by Chen Qingyun, a bit like a leader who can make key decisions. Chapter 831, Revealing the Nascent Soul, shocking everyone. Facing everyone's attention, Chen Qingyun did not answer directly, but brought up another agreement. Chen remembers that there is another agreement. If any of us reach the nascent soul stage, then this division of interests will have to be renegotiated. Do you still remember this? Everyone remembered the content of this agreement clearly, nodded one after another, and then realized something. Luo Huzi was outspoken and guessed that Chen Qingyun was definitely not as simple as asking, so he immediately asked the question that everyone wanted to ask. Fellow Taoist Chen, you are mentioning this matter now. Could it be that you, or fellow Taoist Lu, have advanced in cultivation, and have condensed the nascent soul? As soon as these words came out, they immediately attracted everyone's attention, and the atmosphere fell into a deathly tranquility. Chen Qingyun had already thought of a countermeasure and turned everyone's attention to Bawang. Bawang said nothing. At this moment, he began to show some of his cultivation aura. In an instant, the powerful nascent soul stage mana filled the entire room. Because this mana was controlled very accurately, without even a trace leaking out. The monks present were not simple people. How could they not feel the intensity of this aura? Their eyes widened or opened their mouths with shock. The few of them began to look at each other in disbelief. At this moment, I just felt unbelievable, but the reality was vividly before my eyes. Yuaning. Mu Daoran was the first to break the silence, looking like he had seen a ghost. His words began to be a little incoherent, and he swallowed hard. It's really the nascent soul stage. Even Luo, who had always been carefree, had his eyes widened at this moment and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. Friend Lu Dao, you are really going to scare Luo to death by holding back your ultimate move. As he said that, Luo Huzi's expression changed again. He actually laughed and changed his name. Ha ha ha, good, good. Senior Lu is so secretive and has only revealed his cultivation now. He has such a calm mind. No wonder he was able to form a nascent soul. I admire Luo. After all, Luohuzi was a careful person. At this time, while he was happy to praise him, he also didn't forget to flatter him. The rest of them, Li Mubing, Wen Ziumen and others, could not remain calm. They repeatedly sensed this powerful nascent soul stage magic power and felt that they were so insignificant. Facing Luohuzi's praise, Baoang restrained his breath and looked at everyone with a calm expression. Chen Qingyun didn't speak at this moment, just let Baoang attract everyone's attention and become the focus. This time, the reason why Chen Qingyun chose to continue hiding his cultivation and let Baoang only reveal the initial strength of nascent soul was naturally a matter of careful consideration. Since once the nascent soul cultivation level is revealed, he will definitely become the leader in the team and divide the maximum benefit. Then it would be great if you can continue to hide yourself and reserve backup options. Compared with how to explain how he broke through the nascent soul, the origin of Baoang in front of everyone is more mysterious. After taking back the Immortal Palace, no one could find any clues to trace the specific origin. With this innate advantage, Baoang is more suitable to show his strength and become the leader this time. As expected, after his cultivation was revealed, some people couldn't help but want to clear up the doubts in their hearts. Mu Taoist hesitated again and again, but still said shamelessly, "The last time I saw Senior Lu, he was still in the late stage of Jinden. Now he has achieved such amazing achievements in just 30 years. It seems that Senior Lu has encountered something extraordinary in these years. I wonder when Senior Lu broke through to the nascent soul stage? What kind of nascent soul has condensed into this?" This question just gave Chen Qingyun a chance to answer, but he didn't say much. Baoang frowned and said, "I got some opportunities in the world a few years ago. As for other questions, I will tell you what I should tell you. You shouldn't ask more about it. Don't ask too much." Seeing Baoang's rude response, Mu Taoran shrank his neck and closed his mouth knowingly. The atmosphere fell into a brief calm, and then Baoang slowly said, "Old Monster Yen and Granny Ziu will join this operation. I can agree. What do you think?" Even the Yuanying monk agreed, and no one would be stupid enough to object or say no. Moreover, the original intention of Li Mubing and others was to agree to invite foreign aid and have more strength to take care of each other. Since Baoang all nodded, they all nodded accordingly. "Okay, just follow what Senior Lu wants." Li Mubing responded with a serious look. Now, 6 of the 7 people clearly expressed their agreement. There is no need to ask more about Chen Qingyun's meaning. Naturally, it is the same as Senior Lu. As an organizer, she looked at Chen Qingyun again. When Chen Qingyun nodded and everyone approved, he immediately took the initiative and said, "Then before signing the new agreement, let's talk about our respective cultivation bases in detail, so that everyone can have a clear idea." Starting from Li Mubing, she revealed that she had broken through the bottleneck and advanced to the peak of Jinden, which was equivalent to rising to 2 small realms in 30 years. The other 3, Luohuzi, Mu Daoran, and Wen Ziumen, were all in the late stages of the golden elixir when they last hunted for treasures, and now they have also reached the peak of the golden elixir. Together with Granny Zio and Old Monster Yen, there are now 6 peak golden core cultivators. Then there are Songzin and Zhuying. Songzin had to continue to participate because she had the body of a silver soul. In recent years, she had been taken care of by Li Mubing and her cultivation had reached the peak of the purple mansion. She was still a little short of the golden core. Zhuying deserves praise, since she had used the black water magic in the ruins of the 5 Elements sect last time. She had obtained the priority to choose and thus obtained a golden core. After returning, she practiced hard for 16 years and broke through the peak of the purple mansion. Then she spent the next 10 years honing her cultivation and impacting the golden core stage. After all this effort, she finally got what she wanted. She successfully formed a golden core with the golden core and became one of the golden core cultivators and a golden order patrol star envoy of the star sect. The formation of the golden core also extended her lifespan. Her complexion became much rosier and she looked more energetic. When they reached Chen Qingyun, Luohuzi smiled and said, fellow Taoist Chen is the most powerful in the Jiandan stage. I boldly guess that you are already a rare opponent below the Yuanying stage. Chen Qingyun did not comment on this, and just nodded along with Luo Huzi's words. Finally, they reached Baoang. Baoang did not take the initiative to explain his own cultivation, but only showed the strength of the early Yuanying stage. When they recalled what Baoang said before, they did not dare to ask, and they all thought that it was the early Yuanying stage. After all, it was already very remarkable to be able to cultivate to the Yuanying stage in just 30 years. So how could there be a chance to advance to the middle Yuanying stage? Chapter 832, Redrafting the Agreement. Division of Benefits. Since 2 new members have joined, the purpose of this cooperation needs to be explained, and Li Mubing explained it in detail. This finally solved the doubts in the hearts of Old Monster Yen and Granny Zhu. Hearing that this is the second time to explore the ruins of the Five Elements sect, Old Monster Yen has a great interest in his heart. Looking at the 8 desolations, there is no big concern, and he is ready to go. While he was secretly excited, he couldn't help but say in his heart, Luo Huzi, you are really tight-lipped. You should have said that you were exploring some ancient ruins earlier, and you had to whet my appetite. Hee, but it's also quite righteous. You know to call me when there is such a good thing. It's much better than that crazy old monster. Compared with the abnormal expression on the face of Old Monster Yen, Granny Zhu seemed very calm. When Li Mubing was talking, she just nodded from time to time. After informing the situation, Li Mubing took out an agreement that had been prepared long ago. Originally, according to our previous rules, whoever has made contributions can choose a treasure first. Now that Senior Lu has achieved the position of Yuanying Zhenjun, this rule will naturally be changed again. As he said this, Li Mubing respectfully asked Baoang, Senior Lu, what do you think about the division of benefits? Please speak frankly. Everyone felt that there was no problem with Li Mubing's question, and they all fell silent, waiting for Baoang's response. Baoang was silent for a moment, then stretched out 3 fingers and slowly said, I want to choose 3 treasures first, and then I want 60% of the overall treasure division. This division is easy to understand, and a total of 2 privileges are obtained. First, if you get 100 treasures, there are spirit stones, elixirs, puppets, rare ores, etc. After Baoang has selected 3 treasures first, the remaining will be divided equally with everyone. Second, when dividing equally, it has to be divided into 60% of the benefits. For example, if it is 10 million spirit stones, Baoang will take 6 million, and the remaining 4 million will be divided equally by Li Mubing and others. As for what treasures can be obtained, everyone knows it. These treasures can be exchanged for equivalent spirit stones, which is convenient for division. Since there is a Yuanying cultivator leading the team, with such a huge gap in strength, they, the Purple Mansion and Golden Core cultivators, can share 40% of the total income, which is actually very good. If Baoang is not leading the team, it is really hard to say whether they can get the treasures, and they may have to explain it. Everyone present is smart, and Luo Huzi took the lead and said, Senior Lu, you have such strength, and these requests are naturally reasonable. Luo has no objection. However, Luo has something I want to ask clearly. You, tell me. Luo Huzi showed a serious look and asked carefully, regarding the part of the martial arts book, can we also copy all of them? As soon as Luo Huzi said this, he immediately caused Yan Legui and Mu Daoran to applaud in their hearts, secretly thinking that it was a good question. They thought that elixirs and talismans were old, so they might not have much to harvest. The most valuable thing was the many cultivation manuals in the 5 Elements sect's library. The most valuable resources of a sect were these cultivation manuals, which were the most attractive. Perhaps they could produce nascent soul cultivation manuals or even illusionary god cultivation manuals. In terms of the 100 arts of cultivating immortals, the 5 Elements sect, as a sect of the god of transformation, certainly had no shortage of these inheritances, which was also a huge treasure. There was no problem with sharing and copying books on cultivation manuals, and Chen Qingyun would not take advantage of this. So while they were waiting nervously, Bawang nodded. Okay. Okay. Hearing this, Luohuzi nodded with joy. Luo agrees. With Bawang making concessions and leaving 40% of the profit division and sharing the resources of the library, Li Mubing and the others had no objection and were even afraid that Bawang would go back on his word. The division of interests has been agreed upon, and Li Mubing began to draft the content of the agreement. Among the three most basic clauses in the last agreement, the second clause needs some changes. The first clause is that during the exploration of the Five Elements sect ruins, we cannot fight internally or scheme against each other. This is the most basic, and we will continue to use it. The second clause is that under reasonable circumstances, everyone should help each other and not stand by and watch others die. Because we consider that Senior Lu has been promoted to the nascent soul stage, we need to make some changes. As soon as Li Mubing finished speaking, Mu Daoren asked in confusion, "This clause seems to be fine, why do we need to change it?" Li Mubing shook his head slightly and explained, "In the last operation, no one among us has advanced to the nascent soul stage, so we will be as careful as possible when exploring, and we will not have the idea of confronting opponents who are beyond the golden core stage. But now that Senior Lu is in charge, if any of us rely too much on Senior Lu, and easily take risks without knowing the limits, and provoke threats such as nascent soul ghost cultivators, then won't we still have to rely on Senior Lu for rescue? If we really do this, to put it bluntly, it is to use Senior Lu as a command arrow. If this agreement is not modified, once it is signed, it will be very unfair to Senior Lu." Li Mubing's explanation immediately made Mu Daoren speechless. After thinking carefully, it was indeed the case. The nascent soul cultivators can participate in this operation, and while playing a role in stabilizing people's hearts, they can also take action at critical moments to resolve some crises and obstacles. It is not to let them be used as guns, to generate too much dependence, and finally let the nascent soul cultivators clean up their butts when they commit any mistakes. At the same time, in order to save Bawang's mana, most of the time it is necessary to recharge and preserve peak strength as much as possible. Otherwise, one moment Lu Huzi blindly ventures into danger, and Bawang needs to be rescued, and the next moment Mu Taoist confronts the nascent soul ghost cultivator head-on, and Bawang needs to be rescued. If everyone is here, should we continue this adventure? I'm afraid Bawang is too busy to do all the work. With Li Mubing's explanation, everyone felt that there was no problem and that they really needed to pay attention to this point. Mu Taoren understood the reason and said with a somewhat apologetic smile, "Fairy Bingling is still careful, but I didn't think it through well." Chen Qingyun glanced at Li Mubing with slight appreciation. He didn't expect that the other party would consider this level. He was indeed thoughtful. But then again, Bawang is himself. Bawang doesn't need to follow this second rule, so he must abide by it too. Forget it, Li Mubing mentioned this. I guess they won't take risks at will. It's better than relying too much on Bawang. Chen Qingyun thought to himself, it's better than nothing. Li Mubing continued, the third rule is as usual. Everyone must keep the source of the treasures obtained from exploration a secret. These treasures can be donated and sold to outsiders, but please do not reveal the source of these treasures to outsiders. Everyone must keep everything they see or hear in the Five Elements sect a secret. As for our respective strength, please keep this secret and do not reveal it to outsiders. Li Mubing drafted a new agreement and also wrote down the division of interests. Chapter 833, The Power of the Nascent Soul. Crossing the Ghost Fog. Luohuzi and other original members signed their names without saying anything and completed the contract. The second clause specifically pointed out that Bawang was not bound by the clause and only needed to act according to his mood. This alerted Mu Daoren and others to be cautious after entering the ruins of the Five Elements sect and not to go around recklessly relying on the support of the Yuanying cultivators. Old Monster Yen and Granny Z took a closer look at the contents of the agreement. They further understood while Wohuzi and Mudaoran were so mysterious when they invited them to come out of the mountains and did not elaborate on what they were going to do. It turned out that they were bound by the contents of these agreements and had to abide by them. For these terms of the agreement, the two did not hesitate and signed their names one by one. After everyone signed, they discussed when to set off and asked Bawang what he meant. Bawang said, "To avoid any trouble, let's set off immediately." "Okay." Li Mubing summoned a white flying boat, which was named Bingpo Boat, an upgraded version of Xu Longboat. The Xu Longboat can accommodate up to 10 people and is a 4th level medium-grade magic weapon. This Bingpo Boat can accommodate up to 30 people, and its grade has also reached the 4th level top grade, with a faster speed. The Bingpo Boat became more than 10 feet in size. Li Mubing invited everyone to board, and then drove the flying boat straight to the northwest. More than a month later, everyone went deep into the 10,000 Monsters Sea and came to the ruins of the Five Elements sect, and saw the Ghost Fog area again. After 30 years, it can be seen intuitively that the range of the Ghost Fog has expanded again, about twice as much as before. Wohuzi and Old Monster Yan looked intently, but their sight was blocked by the dark Ghost Fog, and they could only see a distance of about 10 meters inside. They tried to release their spiritual consciousness to investigate, but it was also compressed by 70% to 80%, and they could not go deep into it. Facing this kind of ghost fog again, Chen Qingyun's eyes flashed. With the eyesight of the nascent soul stage, he found that his vision was far beyond that of the Golden Core cultivator, and he could see a distance of about 100 meters. At this distance, he could already see individual ghosts wandering in the ghost fog, sometimes devouring each other. Further in, it was pitch black darkness, which made people want to retreat. We come again after 30 years, and the ghost fog has expanded again, and the difficulty has increased a lot compared to the last time. Li Mubing roughly explored the situation of the ghost fog, frowned slightly, and then looked at Old Monster Yan and Grandma Zhu. "Like last time, we will cross this ghost fog first. During this period, please help appropriately, and don't leave the flying boat at will, and do foolish things that drag us down." The ghost fog is transformed by the resentment of the dead. Because this place is adjacent to the Five Elements Island, it is affected by some of the netherworld chi, and the ghost fog is thicker than before, covering a wider area. The spiritual consciousness and vision of the cultivators were suppressed by the ghost fog. Once lost in it, it was not only a test of their minds, but they also had to face the ghosts attacking from all directions at any time. Crossing the ghost fog, the difficulty lies here. Old Monster Yan and Grandma Zhu were both giant and cultivators after all. They knew the tricky part of the ghost fog and nodded. This ghost fog was quite special. Crossing it was no child's play and could not be sloppy. Wohuzi and Mudaoran looked at each other and looked at Bawang, who was silent at the same time. Wohuzi wanted to speak, but he hesitated. Chen Qingyun knew what they were thinking. Noticing this scene, he secretly controlled Bawang. Bawang said, "You all stay on the flying boat. I will cast a layer of Yuanying shield to protect the flying boat, and then we will fly straight over." "Okay." "Yes, yes." Wohuzi and Mudaoran had this plan in mind. Now that their thoughts were realized, they spoke one after another and nodded like chickens pecking at rice. Li Mubing originally wanted Bawang to save more mana, and they, the giant and cultivators, would be able to resolve it. Seeing Bawang's statement, he couldn't help but look happy. "Then, I'll have to trouble Senior Lu." Bawang said nothing, and immediately cast a strong Yuanying power, turning into a light golden circular shield, wrapping the Bingpo boat tightly. With this thick defense, Li Mubing took advantage of the situation to steer the Bingpo boat into the ghost fog and flew straight towards the Five Elements Island. It must be said that with the help of Yuanying cultivators, facing these ghost fogs, the attack of the Yin spirits is very simple. After only flying a few dozen meters into the ghost fog, they soon encountered ghosts along the way. At first, Li Mubing, Wenzai Uman and others subconsciously released magic tools such as the Golden Flame Lamp, the Phantom Light Bead, and the Fiery Sun Flag to eliminate the ghosts that attacked. But after launching several attacks and eliminating some ghosts, They found that some ghosts exploded one by one when they came into contact with the nascent soul shield, and were instantly disintegrated and turned into black smoke. At this time, they finally saw the power of the nascent soul cultivators, and smiled bitterly for underestimating the nascent soul cultivators and making such a superfluous move. With the solid defense of the nascent soul shield, several people dispelled their worries and paid attention to the surrounding environment without wasting their mana. In just about half an hour, the Bingpo boat crossed the ghost fog and reached the center of the ghost fog, where the Five Elements sect was located. Seeing the Five Elements island again, the island showed a more lush green. Compared to the last time I came here, there are a lot more new vegetation, and some of the original vegetation has become more lush and green. Old Monster Yen and Granny Zhu are new here. The former saw the scene here and released his spiritual sense to scan everywhere, paying attention to hidden dangers and looking for treasures to collect. The latter looked calm and at peace with the world, and did not release his spiritual sense. He simply scanned the surroundings and retracted his gaze. On the way here, both of them learned from Li Mubing that there was a distinction between the inner sect and the outer sect, and the existence of the Xumi Qian Kun formation. As before, everyone landed on the Five Elements Island and came to the outer formation area of the outer sect. After 30 years, there were more skeletons of cultivators around. It was obvious that some cultivators had come here to explore treasures, but unfortunately they were not strong enough and died here. These cultivators were either killed by ghost cultivators or buried in the flames of the formation, ending up with no remains. Seeing the magic tools, storage bags, etc. left on the ground, Old Monster Yen was a little eager to move. But seeing that Chen Qingyun, Bang, and Li Mubing had no intention of picking up treasures, they did not dare to act trashly for a moment, fearing that there was something fishy and dangerous here. Chen Qingyun used his spiritual sense to scan early and found that the items left by these cultivators were not of great value, mostly some second-level and third-level magic tools. He simply controlled his magic power and collected several third-level magic tools nearby, leaving them for decomposition. Chapter 834, Beidou Protective Array, Blackwater Flood. Li Mubing and other members of the original cast have long been accustomed to Chen Qingyun's attempts to pick up treasures. Out of the desire to make friends, even though he was equally moved, he did not compete with Chen Qingyun. They default that these things are the same as last time and belong to personal income and do not need to be divided. As soon as he saw Chen Qingyun taking action, Old Monster Yen couldn't hold it in any longer, and immediately grabbed all the storage bags, magic weapons, etc. on the ground and put them into his pocket. This behavior of Old Monster Yen caused Li Mubing, Songzhen and others to look at him in surprise. After all, in terms of origin, Old Monster Yen comes from Danfu Island in Penglai Immortal Domain, so he can be regarded as the backbone of the sect. Logically speaking, he would not be as poor as the casual cultivators, and he would at least be richer than the family cultivators. Why are you so desperate to collect the treasure? The action of picking up treasures looked like they were robbing Chen Qingyun. Chen Qingyun only picked up a few magic weapons. Hey, look at how useless you are. Seeing the friend he brought with him behave like this, Luohuzi shook his head and couldn't help but muttered. He understands the character of Old Monster Yen. He has such a virtuous character and likes to be greedy for petty gains and has some hobbies that are not in line with his worth. Otherwise, this old weirdo wouldn't have come from this, and there would be some element of eccentricity in it. Old Monster Yen ignored Luohuzi's muttering and picked up all the items on the ground, then patted the storage bag with satisfaction. Luohuzi ignored it, came to the formation, examined it carefully, raised his eyebrows, and diverted everyone's attention. The Beidou protective formation that was left here last time was violently destroyed by someone, and it is no longer effective now. As Luohuzi said this, he looked at some traces of charcoal remaining on the ground around him and sighed slightly. These monks are asking for trouble and triggered the ghostly cold fire in the formation. Now that they are all explained here, there is no one to blame. During the last exploration, in order to leave a warning to facilitate the next exploration, Luohuzi arranged a set of 4th-level high-grade formations around the outer formation. This formation is the beta guarding formation. Unfortunately, this formation was attacked by those treasure-hunting monks and violently dismantled, and the formation no longer exists. These people did not have the magical power of black water to divide the fire and break the formation. They continued to violently attack the outer formation of the Xumi Qiankun formation. As a result, they triggered the ghostly cold fire, and the consequences can be imagined. I have already told Old Monster Yen and Granny Zio that they cannot touch the Xumi Universe formation at will. At the same time, they also shared some experiences. At this moment, neither of them acted rashly, paying attention to how to break the formation next. Li Mubing looked at the outer formation, turned to look at Luohuzi, and asked, "Is there a way to break it this time?" "Don't worry, 30 years have passed and it's hard to guarantee that this formation has not changed. Let Luo take a closer look." Luohuzi touched his chin, fumbled around the formation for a while, and quickly came to a conclusion. Affected by the aura of the underworld, the ghostly cold fire condensed on this outer formation has actually increased in quantity, and its power is much stronger than the last time. In terms of the strength of the formation, it has reached the category of 5th-level mid-level formation. After saying that, Luohuzi looked at Baoang and said with concern, "Senior Lu, the connection between this formation and the inner formation is quite tricky. Once we violently dismantle it, I'm afraid it will trigger some chain reactions, and even cause the inner sectariat to be affected by the inner formation and become a ruin. At that time, we will have nothing to draw from, and the 30 years of preparation will be in vain." Luo suggested that you don't need to take action now. We should use the old method and use the black water magical power to open a hole. Speaking of the black water magical power, Luohuzi sighed heavily in his heart. When he thought that his daughter was the same age as Yu Ying, he began to feel some pity for Yu Ying. Using the black water magical power again, another 5th of his lifespan will be lost. Thinking about it makes his body ache. When Li Mubing heard this, he saw Baoang hesitate to speak. He still felt sorry for his disciple and did not answer for a moment. That old monster Yen was also an expert in formations. He also stepped forward and groped carefully for a while, and came to the same conclusion, shaking his head repeatedly. It cannot be broken by force. It is better to use the black water fire technique to break it, according to Luohuzi's words. Such a strange ancient formation, if the nascent soul cultivator could break it open at will, how could it be our turn to come here to get a share of the pie? They would have been evacuated long ago. Both formation masters came to such a conclusion, which made the atmosphere depressed. Chen Qingyun recently understood some of the ways of the formation, and used his spiritual consciousness to investigate the outer formation, and found that the formation was very mysterious. Not only did this formation foundation go deep underground and come into contact with the air of the netherworld, but there were more than 100 formation runes connected to the inner formation, making them one with each other. Let Baoang take action, although it can indeed violently dismantle the outer formation, but it will definitely trigger the inner formation. If the ruins are really destroyed, then there will be no chance treasure left, and many ghost cultivators will be disturbed as well. In this case, we can only rely on Ying to take action. Luohuzi looked at Yu Ying behind Li Mubing, and said seriously, "You girl, I still have to work hard for you this time. After the matter is completed, after Senior Lu has selected the treasures first, you can then select a treasure first as a reward. What do you think?" At this point, there was no other choice. Li Mubing looked at Yu Ying, nodded, and signaled to take action. Yu Ying hummed, and under the protection of everyone, he used the black water magic. Just like the way he broke the formation last time, a dark, thick black water torrent took shape and flowed out of Yu Ying's hand. As soon as this black water power appeared, Yan Legui felt that his fire attribute power was agitated and suppressed. What a domineering magic power! This made Yan Legui secretly shocked. For the first time, he saw the power of the black water fire and fire art, Fear emerged in his eyes when he looked at Yuying. Chen Qingyun's expression also moved. Because even if he broke through to the nascent soul stage, he could still clearly feel that the fire attribute power condensed in his body with the Great Sun true solution was still suppressed. The magic skills performed by a giant and cultivator can suppress a nascent soul cultivator, which shows the power of the black water magic. After a while, the black water torrent hit the formation barrier and easily suppressed the ghostly cold fire above. The formation area hit by the black water temporarily lost its effect, and the black water broke a gap in the formation. Because Yuying broke through the giant stage, this gap was a little bigger than the last time, reaching a size of 5 meters. "Let's go." The opportunity appeared, Luohuzi shouted, and took the lead to fly into the gap in the formation. Chen Qingyun and others followed closely behind, turning into streams of light, and entered one after another. Chapter 835 Narcissus Magical Treasure, Clear Divine Water. Everyone passed through the outer formation and officially entered the outer sect area. Because Yuying had consumed his lifespan, he was in a state of semi-exhaustion. Out of consideration for human feelings, everyone took a temporary break and explored the surrounding situation. Looking at Yuying's pale face and shaky body, Granny Zhu showed a look of reluctance on her face. "Stand still, Granny, I will help you recover," she said softly, told Yuying to stand still, and offered a white flower. The flower turned gently at her fingertips, waving a thick mist, and then covered Yuying like rain. This flower is naturally not an ordinary flower, but Lingbo Island's signature magic weapon Daffodil. This magic weapon, the appearance is particularly similar to the daffodil. There are 3 and 4 levels, and there is a space inside it, which can store some 9 Ben spirit liquid, rare spring water, etc. Granny Zhu is performing a magic called nectar at this time. The effect is that it can quickly restore the blood of the golden elixir cultivator. It was the first time that Chen Qingyun saw a monk from Lingbo Island take action. He looked at the Narcissus for a few times. When he looked at Granny Zhu again, he saw that the Narcissus was emitting a white hazy light, which was reflected on Granny Zhu, making her look very otherworldly and peaceful. Coupled with her kind and friendly face and a snow-white robe, she really had a sense of déjà vu of Huichuo in the world. The other people were also attracted by this scene, looking at the Narcissus with interest, and then looking at Granny Zhu. It was only a moment, and Yuying absorbed all the power of the nectar. Yuying's face was visibly red again, and she swept away the fatigue and weakness, and became energetic again. "Thank you, Senior." Feeling that her qi and blood had recovered as before, Yuying bowed gratefully and respected this kind old lady more and more. "As expected of a Narcissus lineage, fellow Taoist Zhu, I admire you." Witnessing Yuying's rapid recovery of blood and qi, Luohuzi couldn't help but admire her in his heart, and saw the benevolent side of the Lingbo Island cultivators. Since Yuying would come to participate in this operation, she would definitely be prepared, bringing some pills and spiritual liquids to restore blood and regulate the body. This Granny Zhu was willing to take the initiative to lend a hand, regardless of her own consumption, to assist Yuying in recovering quickly. This selfless bodhisattva's heart is worthy of admiration. After hearing this, Granny Zhu just held the Narcissus in her hand, smiled and nodded gently. Her move also made everyone's good impression of her rapidly doubled. It also made Mu Daoran feel proud, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The crowd went deeper along the route of the last expedition, and after traveling a few hundred meters, they began to encounter attacks from some ghost cultivators. These ghost cultivators started from the Purple Mansion stage, and after going a few hundred meters deeper, some giant and stage ghost cultivators appeared, and the difficulty increased. Unfortunately, in front of Chen Qingyun and others, it was just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Baoang did not take action. Li Mubing, Wen Ziuman and others controlled the demon-killing pearl, the four-spirit ruler, etc., and eliminated these ghost cultivators without much effort. Everyone continued along the original route, passing through the equipment refining hall, the alchemy hall, and the spiritual medicine garden again. When passing through the spiritual medicine garden, thinking that 30 years had passed, Li Mubing suggested going inside to see if some new spiritual medicines had grown. Chen Qingyun opened the prohibition of the spiritual medicine garden with a puppet. Several people searched in the spiritual medicine garden and did not find any natural treasures, only a few first-level spiritual medicines. These spiritual medicines have strong vitality, without anyone to take care of them. They only need 30 years to grow. Picking a few spiritual medicines can be regarded as the first batch of treasures harvested by everyone. After leaving the spiritual medicine garden, everyone continued to move forward. We have encountered 32 purple mansion ghost cultivators and 6 golden core ghost cultivators along the way. There are more than 100 other chi refining and foundation building cultivators. This scale is much larger than the last time. Everyone must be careful in the next exploration. After stepping into the inner array area, Li Mubing used the golden flame lamp to float around him and unfolded a circle of golden flame shield to remind everyone to be vigilant. At this point, except for Bang, everyone used means to protect themselves, and the probability of ghost cultivators appearing around became more and more frequent. With her keen perception, Wen Xiumen noticed that the surrounding netherworld energy was becoming more and more dense, and frowned and reminded, the netherworld energy here has been entrenched for a long time, providing a more suitable environment for these ghost cultivators to practice. I am afraid that more golden core ghost cultivators will be born. You should retain your mana as much as possible, and do not absorb the spiritual energy here to restore your mana, so as not to be infected by the netherworld energy. Wen Xiumen said, and did not forget to glance at Mu Daoran. Taoist Mu understood, waved his sacred wooden cane, and performed the wood spirit rejuvenation technique, which produced a crystal clear green magic light to restore the magic power of Li Mubing and others. After a while, the group traveled more than 3,000 meters. As Wen Xiumen said, there were more giant and ghost cultivators here, and 3 of them emerged at once. These 3 giant and ghost cultivators have already acquired some wisdom, and they did not rush forward to kill recklessly. They launched a joint action, forming a triangular formation to surround everyone, and then simultaneously issued a ghost howl of the netherworld. One after another, piercing and soul-stirring screams rang out. These 3 sounds were mixed with the crying of babies and the tearing sound of nails scratching metal. The tone was very strange, which only gave people goosebumps all over their bodies. This kind of cry can directly hit the soul of the cultivator. Even if the hearing is blocked, it still has no effect of resistance. Song Xin has the lowest cultivation level. After just listening to a few sounds, she felt that her soul was greatly impacted. Her whole consciousness was in a trance, and a look of pain appeared on her face. She subconsciously hugged her head. Facing such an attack that directly hits the soul, the first to be defeated were Song Xin and Yu Ying, followed by Li Mubing. Chen Qingyun's soul was particularly powerful. He was not affected by the roar of such a ghost cultivator. He urged the Star Ring Moon Blade to attack at the same time, and killed a giant and ghost cultivator with 2 moves. At the same time, seeing this situation, Granny Z used a white cloud magic weapon. This magic weapon was about 3 meters in size, and it looked like a cloud picked from the sky, floating in the void. As Granny Z performed magic, a drizzle fell from the white cloud, covering a distance of about 10 meters, covering everyone. These drizzles are not rain, but the clear divine water contained in the white clouds. This water has the effect of calming the mind and protecting the soul. Song Xin was the first to be protected by the effect of the white cloud magic weapon, and her consciousness immediately recovered and the pain on her body disappeared. She just felt very comfortable all over her body, as if she was being brushed by a clear breeze and snow water at the same time in the midsummer. At the same time, being enveloped by this clear divine water, Li Mubing and others also had the same feeling. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 836 Black Fog Strikes, Blue Fire Thunder. Chen Qingyun's soul has reached the nascent soul stage, although it is not affected by the ghost or attack. But after coming into contact with these clear and pure divine waters, I felt that all the pores in my body were relaxed. This feeling is like taking a hot bath on a hot summer day and feeling refreshed by the breeze. I feel refreshed and refreshed. This magical effect made Chen Qingyun take a closer look at the Baiyan magic weapon. 3 ghost cultivators were beheaded by Chen Qingyun, and now Granny Zio's nectar dropped from the sky. Luo Huzi, Wen Zaiumen, and Old Monster Yan joined forces and quickly killed the second golden elixir ghost cultivator. The magical weapon of the Yan Lao Wei envoy is a fiery red flying blade. The body of the flying blade is like smelting pig iron. Its entire body is fiery red, emitting blazing high temperatures. This flaming flying blade, combined with the 4 spiritual rulers and Luo Huzi's fierce sun flag, chopped the third ghost cultivator into several pieces in just 6 rounds. Luo Huzi saw the opportunity and used the thunderstorm hammer again, creating a violent thunder with a roar. In just the blink of an eye, the thunderbolt hit its target, blasting the ghost cultivator's remains into ashes. Seeing Luo Huzi's bravery, Chen Qingyun noticed this thunderstorm hammer and found that it looked very familiar. It was a 4th level thunder attribute weapon. After taking a closer look, it turned out to be the one that Luo Huzi had taken at the Wanbao conference, and it came into play here. Everyone joined forces and quickly completed the battle, continued walking for a while, and finally came to the inner formation. The last time I set foot here, I encountered a black mist attack, and there was also a nascent soul ghost cultivator who caused trouble. It can be said that the battle was particularly fierce. This time, everyone was prepared and sensed that the concentration of the surrounding netherworld energy had increased by 50% to 60%, which must have given birth to more powerful ghost cultivators. If you want to break this inner formation, you may have to fight with ghost cultivators. Last time we encountered a black mist attack here, we worked together to defeat the enemy and killed a nascent soul ghost cultivator. We must be careful this time to avoid the black mist from attacking again. Luo Huzi looked around cautiously and asked Wen Zaiumen, "By the way, Sister Wen, what did you see in the inner formation last time, that would remind us to evacuate? How is the situation this time?" Wen Zaiumen's eyes fell on the inner array. With her unique physique, she could indeed see some scenes through the barriers of the inner array. This time was no exception. She saw some scenes and frowned slightly, which attracted the attention of Li Mubing and others. Because at this moment, their sight and consciousness cannot penetrate the inner formation and see what is inside. There is a lot of unknown. Since you have to break through the formation to enter, you naturally need to understand it in advance. What kind of situations will we encounter later? At least we need to know the general situation here. Wen Zaiumen looked particularly solemn as she answered Luohu's question. There is a large amount of netherworld qi entrenched in the inner formation. The degree of concentration of these netherworld qi is no less than the ghost fog around 5 elements island. There may be nascent soul ghost cultivators hiding in it. Just 2 simple responses made Luo Huzi frown. The expressions of Li Mubing and others also changed at the same time, realizing that the subsequent exploration would be much more difficult. Although this Yuanying stage ghost cultivator does not have a physical body, his strength cannot be equal to that of a real Yuanying cultivator. But his strength is far superior to that of a golden core cultivator. In total, he is almost half a step into the nascent soul realm. If they are hidden in the aura of the netherworld and have such natural cover advantages, then once they fight, it will definitely be detrimental to one's own side. The aura of the netherworld is extremely harmful to us, but it cannot be absorbed into the body. When we need to restore our mana during the fight, we will have to rely on elixirs and spiritual fluids. Old man, I'm not a tough guy, so I can't take care of you all at the same time. Mu Ta'aran thought of this and was not very optimistic about his magical support. After muttering, he asked, "Senior Lu, do we still want to continue with this subsequent exploration?" Before Baoang could answer, Luo Huzi snorted and said with some displeasure, "Old man Mu, why haven't you changed your habit of wanting to retreat temporarily? We just set foot here and we picked some elixirs. Are we going to go back in such a dejected state? If this is really the case, Luo will not agree. When asked by Luohuzi, Mu Taoist just sighed without responding and retreated to Granny Zhou. When the old monster Yan saw this, he was not willing to end the exploration so quickly, and said with a smile, "Haha, don't be anxious, don't be anxious. Speaking of which, if there are only one or two nascent soul ghost cultivators, we giant cultivators can work together and use thunder and fire spells to gain the upper hand. Now that we have the help of fellow Taoist Zhou, we can protect our souls and not be afraid of attacks from ghost cultivators. This makes us even more powerful. If we are still worried about this, we might as well see what Senior Lu means." Several people's eyes fell on Bawang, wanting to see what Bawang meant. It was at this time that a low shout suddenly sounded. "The black mist is coming. Damn it, why are you still there?" The first sentence was Wen Xiumen's reminder, and the second sentence was Luo Hubeard's scolding. The crisis suddenly struck, and almost at the same time, everyone's eyes were looking in the same direction. Thousands of meters away to the east, a large black mist was seen coming in like a tidal wave. Without allowing anyone to react, it quickly swept to a distance of only 100 meters away. "Oh, let me help you." Faced with this sudden attack, Mu Dao Ren screamed and immediately dodged behind Luohuzi and the others, acting as a backup. Li Mubing, Wen Xiumen, and Luohuzi reacted quickly, each controlling the golden flame lamp, the four-spirit ruler, and the fiery sun flag to start the battle. The black fog was vast and covered an area of 3 to 4 kilometers in radius, appearing extremely dark, already catching up with the level of the ghost fog. Compared with the last black fog, this one was 60 to 70% larger. In the black fog, there was a ghost cultivator in the early stage of the nascent soul who was stirring up trouble, controlling hundreds of ghost cultivators around to attack. Having already had the experience of fighting once, Wen Xiumen and the others used the advantage of restraining magic weapons to easily kill the dozen ghost cultivators who attacked with one move. Li Mubing released the Thunder Beast, which walked in the air, roared and spit out more than a dozen green flame balls, hitting the gathering place of the ghost cultivators. This is the blue fire sky thunder, which looks like ball lightning, with a layer of blue flames on the surface. It also has the power of thunder and fire, and can steadily restrain ghost cultivators. More than a dozen blue fire sky thunders exploded with a rumble, submerging more than 100 ghost cultivators, instantly killing a large number of ghost cultivators, turning them into flying ashes and scattering. The black fog was also rendered blue and red by this kind of thunder and fire, turning into a sea of fire. Chapter 837 Six-Winged Miasma B, Dangang Burning Sea Formation. In the black mist, some ghost cultivators were affected by the green fire released by the Thunder Beast. They could not resist it and were quickly burned clean. Looking at Granny Zhou's side, she continued to use the white cloud magical artifact to float in the air, spraying a large area of clear holy water, extending the protection area to a distance of 50 or 60 meters. This protective area protects everyone and protects the soul. Faced with the black mist for the first time, old monster Yan used the flaming flying blade and killed 2 ghost cultivators while protecting Song Zin and Yuying behind him. Seeing the black mist sweeping in mightily, it seemed to cover the sky and the sun, making the surrounding light dim a lot and full of oppression. Chen Qingyun's envoy sent out the blessed earth pearl and sent out a large number of six-winged miasma cloud bees. With the green Yuan fruit urging reproduction, the six-winged miasma cloud bees reproduced faster, and the number has reached over 100,000. Once the six-winged miasma cloud bees, which numbered over 100,000, were released, they huffed and gathered into black clouds, split into 3 groups and flew into the black mist. With the help of bloodline talent, these six-winged miasma cloud bees showed their skills and sucked the black mist into their belly. Wherever it passed, the black mist disappeared visibly, and was completely suppressed. This scene attracted the attention of Granny Zhou, Yu Ying and others. Seeing that it was Chen Qingyun who released the spiritual insects and achieved such an effect, several people couldn't help but be slightly surprised. In just 4 or 5 breaths, 80% to 90% of the black mist was swallowed up. Most of the ghost cultivators had no cover, and were quickly killed one by Wen Xiumen and others. Seeing this situation, the nascent soul ghost cultivator in the center of the black mist tried to control the ghost cultivator to attack the six-winged miasma cloud bee. As a result, those ghost cultivators, together with the black mist, were crazily devoured and eaten by the six-winged miasma cloud bees, sucked into their bellies, and turned into food. Since ghost cultivators have no physical body and are not affected by poison, the six-winged miasma cloud bees did not release miasma poison attacks under Chen Qingyun's order. Bang, who had been motionless, took action at this moment. Based on the Shedding Dragon Elephant Sutra and the nascent soul's mana, he unleashed a soul-destroying sword, which plunged into the black mist with a hiss. This sword was as powerful as breaking bamboo, breaking through the obstacles of dozens of ghost cultivators on the way, suppressing the black mist in an instant, and piercing the nascent soul ghost cultivator. A shrill, piercing sound sounded, which only made people's scalp numb. Fortunately, with the help of Grandma Zio, who used the Baiyan magic weapon to protect the soul, everyone was not affected in any way. Look at the soul-destroying sword again. This sword is very domineering, and the effect can be said to be immediate. The nascent soul ghost cultivator was killed with one sword. The leader was killed, and the remaining ghost cultivators turned into birds and beasts and scattered in all directions, fleeing one after another. Seeing this, the six-winged miasma cloud bees rushed forward even more frantically, turning into dozens of black clouds and surrounding them, eating up all the ghost cultivators. The bang silence was nothing more than a surprise. With just one casual blow, he killed the leading nascent soul ghost cultivator. This display of strength made Li Mubing and others stunned. The last time, it was also against the black mist and a nascent soul ghost cultivator. At that time, I and others could be said to have used all their means, and in the end they were able to win by fighting as a team. This time, even though several of my own magic weapons were used, the other party was killed so quickly. Look at those six-winged miasma cloud wasps. Each one is small, less than the size of a thumb. This combination can actually swallow up the black mist and ghost cultivators, quickly eating away these threats. What kind of spiritual insect is this? It's so lucky. Old Monster Yan looked at the six-winged miasma cloud bees with a fiery look in his eyes, which he quickly covered up. Chen Qingyun stretched out his hand and the spirit bees who had been feasting received the order, gathered together, and returned to the blessed land bead like three black torrents. Good. Luo Huzi clapped his hands and said in amazement. With Senior Lu taking action, the result was different. The enemy was killed so quickly. Fellow Taoist Chen, these little guys you raised are an eye-opener for Luo. What kind of spiritual insects are they? They can even swallow these black mist and ghost cultivators. Luo wanted to ask last time, but this time their number has increased so much. Facing Luo Huzi's inquiry, Chen Qingyun smiled politely and said, "It's just some mutated spirit bees. I didn't expect it to have any effect here." After saying that, Chen Qingyun changed the topic. "Right now, we'd better break through the formation quickly and don't delay here any longer." "Yeah, that's fine." Luo Huzi knew what was going on and didn't say anything more. He started to pull Old Monster Yan forward and pointed at the inner formation to introduce it. "Old Monster Yan, this is a 5-level ice attribute formation. It is connected to the outer formation just now with one ice and one fire. We stopped here last time. You have 2 brushes in the field of formations. Take a closer look first. Later we will jointly arrange a fire attribute formation to try to break the formation. Let me see first." After hearing this, Monster Yan began to look around the inner formation, and after a while he had an idea. Use the fire attribute formation to crack it. If the attribute strength is insufficient, it will be restrained by the formation. The 5 elements are mutually reinforcing and interfering with each other. Why don't we use earth attribute formations? Regarding the use of formation breaking methods, Old Monster Yan's ideas were somewhat different from Luohu ''S. Luohuzi shook his head and said, "Luo has no earth attribute formations above level 4, and he is not good at using earth attribute formations. Do you have it in your hand?" Nothing. Old Monster Yen shook his head, thinking that he was good at fire attribute formations, and tried to express his thoughts. Use the fire attribute formation to break it. I can cooperate with you, but you didn't say clearly earlier that you are here to break the formation this time. I am not fully prepared yet. No problem. Luo Huzi waved his hand, then took out the 8 formation flags and displayed them in front of Old Monster Yen. For this trip, I specially prepared this formation. You just need to cooperate with me. As soon as these 8 formation flags appeared, they immediately caught the attention of Old Monster Yen. Old Monster Yen looked at it carefully and said uncertainly, "Is this the Qingguang Burning Sea formation?" Exactly. When he mentioned this formation, Luo Beard hummed twice. In order to obtain this formation, Luo spent a lot of thought and effort. Old Monster Yen, you don't have to hesitate, just cooperate and break the formation together. You know exactly how to implement this. Old Monster Yen nodded and looked at Baoang almost with Luo Huzi. Senior Lu, in order to achieve one-time success, I have to rely on your strength. I hope you can help me. Luo Hubeard said. Chen Qingyun's formation attainments are still very low. Now he can't see the function of the Qingguang Burning Sea formation just by looking at the formation flags. The only thing that can be guessed is that it may be necessary to use Baoang's nascent soul magic power to increase the power of the formation. Thinking of this, Baoang said calmly, "How to break the formation, you tell me." Chapter 838, Burning Sea with Golden Flames. Luo Huzi showed the 8 formation flags in his hand, looked at Baoang, and expressed his thoughts. After setting up the Qingguang Burning Sea formation, there will be 8 formation nodes. At that time, I and Old Monster Yen will each control 4 formation nodes. Senior Lu, you only need to make a slight move at that time and inject some Yuanying mana into these 8 formation nodes to provide a powerful source of power for the formation. With the help of Yuanying power, the original 50% chance of breaking the formation can be quickly increased to more than 90%. We will keep this inner formation as much as possible to avoid certain chain reactions after violent cracking. This inner formation is the same as the outer formation. It is a one-way formation. When we want to go out, we will not be blocked by the formation. You can rest assured about this. From Luo Huzi's thinking of breaking the formation, Chen Qingyun also had this idea in his mind. The idea was the same, so Baoang nodded. Okay. Then, I'll have to trouble Senior Lu. Luo Huzi felt confident and reminded Li Mubing and the others with a serious face. Please, stay away from them. Once the inner array of the Xumi Qian Kun array is triggered, it will release a terrifying cold current that is enough to freeze the nascent soul cultivators. Don't be careless. Li Mubing, Wen Xiumen and the others heard this and thought that the power of the outer array was already frightening and could easily kill the golden core cultivators. The inner array was of a higher grade, so they didn't dare to take risks. They all retreated a few hundred meters away and sacrificed their defensive magic weapons and protective magic treasures in advance to take precautions. Senior Lu, if there is a cold current coming later, please take care of Luo and Old Monster Yen. Luo Huzi took a deep breath, and he was still a little nervous. The power of this cold current can directly threaten the nascent soul cultivators. How could they, the golden core cultivators, have the capital to resist? If they were not forced to break the array, they would have turned around and left long ago. Just go ahead and do it. With the support of Baoang, the 2 formation masters began to get busy. Old Monster Yen and Luo Huzi looked at each other, nodded heavily, and then took over the 4 formation flags. Since they were not going to completely disintegrate the inner formation, they only needed to use the method of cracking in an area, just like dealing with the outer formation, to create an entrance. So, the layout range of this Qingguang Burning Sea formation was not large, only 100 meters in radius at most. Luo Huzi and Old Monster Yen each held 4 formation flags in their hands, looked at each other, and after understanding, began to activate the formation runes in them. With the injection of mana, the 8 formation flags were quickly activated. All the formation flags glowed with circles of golden light, mixed with strong fire attribute power, and flames were condensing and rising. Luohuzi saw the opportunity and said, "Senior Lu, it's now." Seeing this, Bang, at Luohuzi's signal, played 8 strands of mana to disperse and accurately injected into the 8 formation flags. With the blessing of the power of the nascent soul, the light of the formation flags rose sharply, brewing greater power. As the 2 people moved, 8 formation flags flew out of their palms, dispersed, and landed in front of the inner formation, condensing a fire attribute formation on the spot. As soon as the Qingguang Burning Sea formation was activated, a series of clicks, like the turning sounds of mechanical gears, sounded. This formation itself has reached the 5th level middle grade, and with the help of the magic power of the 8 desolations, its power has increased a lot. As soon as the formation was activated, it condensed layers of strong golden flames. These flames spread and stretched, transforming into 3 golden flame streams, like magma erupting from a volcano, and bombarded a formation barrier uniformly. Amid the rumbling sound, the inner formation shook slightly, and it was visible to the naked eye that it quickly evolved from the previous translucent color to white and blue. A wheezing sound suddenly arose, and an icy blue cold current was seen stirring on the barrier of the formation. As soon as this cold current formed, it instantly swept around, freezing the grass and trees wherever it passed. The temperature dropped sharply, and gusts of wind blew. The originally cold environment suddenly turned into a scene of ice and snow. It was only a breath or two that changed the world, making people feel extremely unreal. Fortunately, everyone was well prepared and used their own tricks to resist this cold current. Just when Yan Legui was frightened that his magic power was about to be frozen and he was about to retreat, Bang separated 2 magic powers, protecting Yan Legui and Luohuzi, firmly resisting the invasion of the cold current. With the assistance of the nascent soul cultivator, Yan Legui stopped retreating, felt the coldness on his body dissipated instantly, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Compared with Yan Legui, Luohuzi seemed calmer. He noticed that old monster Yan had retreated before, and had expected this scene. In order to avoid old monster Yan's distraction, he focused his attention on breaking the formation, and did not forget to call old monster Yan to follow up. Success or failure depended on this move. In the back, Chen Qingyun used the molten fire shield light, which turned into a wall of fire to block everyone in front of him, and did not forget to use the transformation shield to deploy a double layer of defense. The molten fire shield light stretched to a size of 30 or 40 meters, presenting a circle, protecting everyone in it. After the blazing sun essence fire came into contact with the cold current, it made a hissing sound and a large piece of white mist rose. Fortunately, this fire attribute magic skill first dissolved 50% to 60% of the cold current. The remaining cold current passed through the molten fire shield light and was once again blocked by the transformation shield. The Huashan shield was affected by the cold current, and layers of frost condensed on its surface, making Chen Qingyun feel a bit cold. However, this degree of cold current has no effect on giant and cultivators, but it was blocked by Li Mubing and others' respective spells, and was not affected. Looking ahead, seeing Bang's protection, Luohuzi and Yan Legui hurriedly accelerated their skills, and worked together to control the Qingguang Burning Sea formation, and continued to mobilize the power of the nascent soul in it to break the formation. 3 more formation attacks were launched, shaking the inner formation buzzing, and soon there was an effect. I saw a gap of 5 or 6 meters in size on the formation barrier that was attacked in the inner formation, and there were still burning sea golden flames around the gap, slowly expanding the size of the gap. Seeing this, Luohuzi looked happy and hurriedly called out, "Ice, Spirit Fairy, you go in first." Li Mubing, Chen Qingyun and others did not delay after hearing the words, and immediately turned into streams of light and entered the gap in the formation. Then, Luohuzi and Old Monster Yan each took back their formation flags, and together with Bang, they flew into the formation. The gap in the formation only appeared for 3 or 4 seconds, and then shrank rapidly. When everyone entered, the gap in the formation quickly healed, stirring up a circle of sharp cold currents. This cold current was so cold that some lurking ghost cultivators in the distance retreated in fear and dared not approach. The surrounding ice and snow scene expanded further, quickly spreading to the surrounding kilometer range. Chapter 839 Intersect. After entering the inner formation, several people gathered together and took stock of the surrounding environment. When Xiaoman used the phantom light bead early, and cast a large ray of light to cover everyone, thus resisting the surrounding ghostly energy. The light of the magic light bead shines, illuminating the surrounding space for more than 10 meters. Looking outside, it is a deep scene like a dark night. Compared to the outer sect area, the ambient light here appears darker. The surrounding netherworld energy was already visible to the naked eye, appearing as black smoke swirling and gathering in the air. Sure enough, as when Xiaoman said, there is a lot of netherworld energy entrenched here, and it is very strong. You can even see black clouds in the distance. What exactly were those black clouds? Several people used their spiritual senses to explore and found that they were streaks of ghost mist. Fortunately, those ghostly fogs have not swept over for the time being, and are slowly floating around. It really scared me before. If Senior Lu hadn't taken action in time, I might have been frozen into an ice sculpture and exposed to that cold current. Old Monster Yen said with some lingering fear, breaking the calm. Thinking that a fire attribute monk like himself would one day be almost wiped out by such a cold current, Old Monster Yen had cold sweat on his forehead. HMPH, how can it be that the ruins of the Five Elements sect are so easy to explore? Without Senior Lu, our profession would probably be stuck in the outer sect again. If we forcefully break the formation, we would have to explain where it is. Luo, Hu grunted twice, causing Li Mubing and others to nod. We should indeed be thankful that we had the help of the nascent soul cultivator this time, and even more fortunate that we signed the agreement in advance. Otherwise, just relying on the cold current would be enough to clean up these Xifu and Golden Core cultivators. When the time comes, you will really have lost your wife and lost your troops, so there will be no chance to lament and complain here. After calming down, no one acted rashly since they were new to this place. When I carefully observed the surroundings, I found that there were 5 or 6 ghost mists of different sizes, all floating and moving nearby without intersecting with each other. If you continue to go deeper, you can avoid these ghost fogs of different sizes, but it is still unknown whether you will encounter attacks. After working hard for so long, I finally entered the inner sect. Fairy Ice Spirit, the location of the library is definitely correct. Let's go straight there first. Luo Huzi put away the formation flag, took out the fierce sun flag, held it in his hand, and asked. Li Mubing had this intention and said, on the way to the library pavilion, we may pass by the Deacon Hall, the General Affairs Hall and other areas, then we might as well go in and explore together. Hearing this, Luo Huzi immediately said, okay, after working for so long, I have to harvest some treasures, otherwise it will not taste good in my heart. Because there are so many ghosts and mist here, the spiritual consciousness is intermittently blocked and cannot penetrate too far. If you wander around here, you will only waste your energy in vain. It is best to go straight to the library to avoid ineffective fighting. In the diary left by Heng Zhengcheng, the map of the Five Elements sect was recorded. During the last exploration, Li Mubing shared this map. As for whether the map is authentic, there is indeed nothing wrong with verifying it from the outer sect area. I think this inner sect is pretty much inseparable, so there won't be any map recording errors or the Five Elements sect moving its library. Following the map instructions, everyone chose to move forward in a team, bypassing the 4 ghost fog areas. When passing through the 5th ghost fog, they were attacked by ghost cultivators inside. Li Mubing directly ordered the Thunder Beast to counterattack and use 9 green fire thunders to kill the 3 golden elixir ghost cultivators in the ghost mist. The remaining dozens of ghost cultivators were weak and were cleared away by Luo Huzi and Old Monster Yen. Then the 2 received mana support from Muta Oren, and then regained some mana. Everyone agrees that activities in this inner sect need to be carried out while conserving mana as much as possible. Due to the difference in realm, Mu Taoren was unable to restore mana to Bang. As the Dinghai Divine Needle, Bang could not consume mana at will, so he tried his best not to take action. This also makes Chen Qingyun worry a lot, as he only needs to show part of his strength to fight against individual Golden Elixir stage ghost cultivators. It has to be said that the inner sect is much more dangerous than the outer sect. The lowest level ghost cultivators here have all reached the early stage of Zaifu. Moreover, because of the large amount of netherworld chi, the monks are unable to perform exercises here to restore mana and absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, so they can only rely on external substances such as pills. This made Mu Daoren complain endlessly. As a mana backup, he could only tell Wohuzi and the others to save some mana as much as possible and not to use all their big moves in one battle all at once. Naturally, the province's mana must be saved, and the consumption must not be stingy. In order to protect the team, Li Mubing began to use the golden flame lamp, condensing 3 fire dragons and surrounding them as a layer of defense. These 3 fire dragons appear to be 5 or 6 feet in size, and their power is in the middle stage of the golden elixir. From time to time, they will burn and destroy some ghost cultivators and ghost cultivators around them. In terms of effects, there's nothing to complain about, except that it's a bit mana consuming. Fortunately, Li Mubing was well prepared and had many pills ready. As Li Mubing led the team forward, he detailed the internal situation of the 5 Elements sect. The entire 5 Elements sect covers an area of more than 500 miles, and the area of the inner sect is about 3 times that of the outer sect. According to the map records, there are a large number of spiritual veins in this inner sect. Added together, there are 32 of them, large and small. There are so many spiritual veins. Learning about the number of spiritual veins, Wohuzi was surprised and looked around. As a casual cultivator, it is very rare to find a suitable spiritual vein to practice. A sect can have more than 30 spiritual veins, which is naturally impossible to be born and raised on the 5 Elements Island. It must be artificially cultivated. This made Wohuzi sigh. The Huashan sect is really rich in heritage. Other Mu Daoren and Old Monster Yan came from the sect, so they were not surprised by this. Li Mubing continued, most of these spiritual veins are 2nd and 3rd level spiritual veins. The most noteworthy one is the central spiritual vein, which has reached the 6th level mid-grade level. The cave of the 5 Elements sect's high-level officials is located at the highest point of this central spiritual vein. The library, the sect hall, the inheritance hall, etc. are also built on it. The rest of the steward hall, the general affairs hall, etc. are built on other spiritual veins 1 or 2 levels lower, and each has a specific area. When he heard about the library, Old Monster Yan became interested and asked, "How far is the library from us?" "About 130 miles. Li Mubing said. Although this distance is not far and the inner sect has not set up a no-fly zone, there is ghost fog everywhere and a large amount of netherworld energy has gathered. It is best for us not to contact it. It is better to be cautious." "Well, just do as Fairy Bingaling said. Luo will walk in the front. Old Man Mu, you and Taoist Zhu will walk in the middle. Remember to protect our souls and supply us with mana at any time." Taoist Mu and Granny Z heard this and each nodded without saying much. Chapter 840 Deacon Hall. Since there are many ghosts and fog around, they are all potential threats. Everyone can only slow down and avoid these dangerous spots one by one. Even the spiritual consciousness must be released as little as possible, so as not to disturb the ghost cultivators and attract attacks. Even so, you will still encounter attacks from some ghost cultivators as you move forward. There are a lot of golden elixir ghost cultivators here, and there is one in almost every ghost mist. However, there will never be 2 golden elixir ghost cultivators in the same area of ghost mist. There is no room for 2 tigers in one mountain, and it is also reflected here. Most of the ghost cultivators in the ghost mist are afraid and will not take the initiative to attack. Only a few nascent soul ghost cultivators rely on their own strength and will launch sneak attacks. As Wen Xiaoman reminded before, nascent soul ghost cultivators are already common in this inner sect. If you are unlucky, you may encounter attacks from many nascent soul ghost cultivators. After traveling for more than 10 miles, everyone was attacked by a ghost mist, and there was indeed a nascent soul ghost cultivator inside. The strength of this Yuanying ghost cultivator is in the early stage of Yuanying. It was transformed by an elder from the Five Elements sect and took the form of a short old man. When it saw Chen Qingyun and the others appearing, it took the lead in launching an offensive out of its instinct of preying, regardless of whether the newcomers were demons. A large amount of ghost mist swept over, and a total of more than 300 ghost cultivators began to surround them, quickly igniting the battle. For a time, Chen Qingyun and the others were surrounded by ghost mist and groups of ghost cultivators in all directions. It became impenetrable and the surrounding light was dimmed. In the face of such attacks, everyone has long been accustomed to it, and each of them took action. The golden flame lanterns, magic light beads, white cloud magic weapons, etc. all showed their magical powers. While destroying the ghost cultivators, they also pierced the darkness and illuminated the surroundings. Chen Qingyun took out a thunderstorm skyfire talisman, activated it and threw it forward. In an instant, a violent thunderstorm fire was released from the magic talisman, illuminating an area of the world, and the sounds of thunderstorms and flames were heard, attracting Wen Ziyumen and others to look at them. Wherever the thunderstorm and skyfire went, the power of the thunderstorm thundered, and bursts of silver thunder broke out, like dancing silver snakes. The power of the sky fire is so fierce that even a little spark can ignite the ghost mist and have a restraining effect. Wen Ziyumen and Li Mubing glanced at each other briefly. I saw the thunderstorm fire was like breaking bamboo, and the ghost cultivators incinerated and blasted all the ghost mist that surrounded them more than 10 meters away, creating a sea of thunderstorm fire. Seen from a distance, this circle of thunderstorm fire sea was like a ring barrier, firmly protecting them within it, making it impossible for Gui Wu and Gui Ziyu to move forward. The area where these people are located has become a thunder pool in the eyes of the other party. The 4th level spiritual talisman with dual attributes of thunder and fire. This person has such a good background. Old Monster Yen was attracted by the power of the thunderstorm skyfire talisman. Out of curiosity, he looked at it a few more times. As a monk from Danfu Island, no one in the room knew the way of making talismans better than him. He subconsciously thought that Chen Qingyun was also a talisman maker. A thunderstorm skyfire talisman can be used 3 times, and it shows such power after just one use, which makes Chen Qingyun secretly happy. The talisman that Liu Zilin refined by herself is really useful. Moreover, there are 8 more in this talisman, which is definitely the most powerful way to save life when there is not much mana left. The surrounding thunderstorm skyfire continued to show its power, killing more than a dozen ghost cultivators, causing the battle to become intense, and the air was filled with a burning smell. In order to end the battle quickly, Baong sacrificed the Flame Emperor Baal and released strong Sun Essence Fire. A large amount of Sun Essence Fire turned into a tide and spread quickly, further burning away the ghost mist in all directions. In front of the Sun's Essence Fire, not to mention these ghost mist, even the ghostly energy can be firmly restrained. Under Chen Qingyun's command, the body of the Yan Huang Bell was covered with Sun Essence Fire, moving across the sky like a sun, shining dazzlingly. With a cry, the Flame Emperor Bell flew into the ghost mist, and launched a ferocious attack on the nascent soul ghost cultivator, erupting with great momentum. This nascent soul ghost cultivator underestimated the enemy, did not know how to use magical weapons, and had no physical body. When he saw that he suffered a loss after taking action, he immediately resorted to the most underhanded tactics. It opened its mouth and spat out 3 black skulls with 3 clattering sounds, biting towards Baong. Covered by the remaining ghost mist, these 3 skulls reached a size of 3 to 4 feet, and each one was as powerful as a full blow from a monk in the early stage of nascent soul. It's a pity that in front of Chen Qingyun and others, there is Baong finale, so these attacks have no effect at all, and they can clearly see it. The Flame Emperor Bell was the first to fight, with 3 consecutive rumbling explosions, and a powerful attack with its thick bell body. In one move, 3 skulls were exploded one after another, and were annihilated into flames. The lingering power from this confrontation caused Wen Xiumen, Granny Zhou and others to retreat quickly. They only felt that this power was so frightening that even a little contact could be fatal. The confrontation between nascent soul cultivators is really not something that golden core cultivators can control, and they can only stay away from it. The attack was successful, and Baoang took advantage of the victory to attack. After trying his best to restrain the remaining power of the attack and not affecting the Wuhuzi and others, the imperial envoy Yan Huangzong directly attacked the nascent soul ghost cultivator. This caused the opponent to panic and avoid, summoning a group of subordinates to stand in front of him. With the restraint advantage of Lin Bao and the foundation of the five elements nascent soul, these ghost cultivators are basically attacking the stone with an egg, and will be wiped out as soon as they come into contact with the Flame Emperor Bell. In less than 3 rounds, Baoang showed his magical power and easily imprisoned the nascent soul ghost cultivator and the Yan Huang Bell, refining it with the sun's fire and turning it into ashes. The demise of the nascent soul ghost cultivator was equivalent to a quick end to the battle. The power displayed in this battle formed a great deterrent to the surrounding ghost cultivators. So much so that no ghost cultivator dared to come and make trouble in a short period of time. The strength displayed by Baoang further stimulated the nerves of Wen Xiumen and others, realizing that they were no different from ants in front of the nascent soul cultivator. The remaining ghost cultivators were no longer a force to be reckoned with, and were jointly eliminated by Wen Xiumen and others, ending the battle. After recovering their mana on the spot, everyone continued to move forward. After walking more than 20 miles, they soon stepped on a 4th level spiritual vein and came to the Deacon Hall. After hundreds of years, the Deacon Hall was already empty. Everyone searched the hall carefully and only found a large number of tasks and intelligence jade slips. There are so many jade slips. Dao Ren's eyes fixed, and he picked up a jade slip to read it, and found that the information recorded in it was well preserved, without any omissions. Jade slips are the most common and widely circulated recording tools in the world of immortal cultivation, which can record images, texts, and even smells and sounds. Generally, the recording time of jade slips can reach about 1,000 years, and the better ones can even reach 10,000 years. Although these jade slips in the Deacon Hall are not valuable, most of them have a shelf life of more than 1,000 years due to their superior workmanship, so the large amount of information contained in them can still be preserved. The information in the jade slips was all collected by the 5 Elements sect cultivators, which undoubtedly attracted the attention of Chen Qingyun and others. Chapter 841 Heritage Hall. Chen Qingyun picked up a few jade slips and looked at them, and found that some of the information recorded in them was very detailed and had some value. For example, where in the Sea of 10,000 Demons is the Golden Core Demon King causing trouble? It needs to be cleaned up. Or maybe there are some 1st and 2nd level elixirs growing somewhere, and spiritual trees can be picked, transplanted, etc. Information like this is no less than hiding some opportunities, big and small. Just something to note. After hundreds of years, if we continue to explore based on this intelligence information, whether there has been much change there and whether there is still a chance to obtain it all depends on personal luck. In short, most of these jade slips contain immeasurable value. These are treasure maps held by the 5 Elements sect. They not only provide disciples with tasks to perform and obtain rewards, but also generate income for the sect. After roughly reading some of the jade slips, Chen Qingyun also discovered that the 5 Elements sect had established diplomatic relations with many surrounding forces. Tasks such as sending disciples to garrison a cultivating family in towns large and small are often issued. Among them, we can also see some trade transactions between the 5 Elements sect and the Star sect, which require the dispatch of Golden Core monks to escort and transport resources. It is related to all kinds of intelligence, and it also contains some good luck, much like opening a blind box, which can reveal some treasures. These jade slips also attracted the hearts of Wen Xiumen and others. Li Mubing briefly checked a dozen jade slips and expressed the intention of collecting them. She suggested, "Everyone, these jade slips are difficult to value, and counting them all is time-consuming. Why don't we each take what we need and collect them ourselves?" according to her intention, that is to say, once the jade slips are obtained, it is their own income, and there is no need to divide it up. Of course, Chen Qingyun and others would not refuse this proposal. Everyone took action quickly, and in less than a quarter of an hour, all the jade slips were divided up. After leaving the Deacon Hall, everyone crossed 2 more spiritual veins. When passing by the General Affairs Hall, they were attacked by ghost cultivators again. The same nascent soul ghost cultivator commanded more than 300 ghost cultivators to attack, triggering the battle. Bawang made a strong move and once again used the Flame Emperor Zonglai to end the battle in less than 10 rounds. Stepping into the General Affairs Hall, there are no treasures here, they are basically some monks' daily necessities, which have long since decayed and become useless. The rest of the journey took them more than 100 miles and took about a day. The road was winding and winding, passing several large sect buildings, but no treasures were found in them. After experiencing 3 more battles and crossing more than a dozen spiritual veins, everyone quickly set foot on the central spiritual vein and arrived at the sect's main hall. Along the way, they passed by 5 sect buildings, of which only the Deacon Hall had something to gain. Now that they came to the sect's main hall, they went in and searched, but found nothing. They also faced the threat of ghost cultivators, which made several people feel a little depressed. After leaving the sect's main hall, we headed east along the central mountain range. Judging from the location, this is already the eastern part of the central spiritual vein, less than 10 miles away from the library pavilion. After a moment, a majestic hall came into view, with the word inheritance written on the plaque. Looking from a distance, it gave people a majestic and solemn feeling. Inheritance Hall. Before reaching the library pavilion, he found the inheritance hall first, and Luohuzi's face showed a bit of excitement. The purpose of establishing the inheritance hall in a sect can be said to be very straightforward and clear. Most of them are stored in the sect's heritage and various sect-suppressing treasures. A small part contains pills, weapons, arrays, talismans and other various arts and top techniques for cultivating immortals. For example, the clan treasury of the Zhuxian family is actually of the same type as the inheritance palace. What was in the inheritance hall of the 5 Elements sect not only made Luohuzi want to make a move, but even Chen Qingyun also showed a look of expectation. We haven't arrived at the library pavilion yet. It would be a good idea for us to try our luck in this inheritance hall first. Maybe we will gain something. Old Monster Yan was gearing up, thinking about the 40% profit division this time, and the fact that he only copied the martial arts books, etc. He felt a little unsatisfied and wanted to get more opportunities for treasures. I want it. I want it. Mu Taoran was the first to speak, nodding his head repeatedly. There have been many battles along the way, old man. I should take a good rest and replenish some mana, so as not to be unable to help you later and hold you back. 2 people in the team proposed, including Taoist Mu as a backup. Chen Qingyun had no objection to this and said, since we got here first, let's go to the inheritance hall first. Good. Seeing Chen Qingyun speak, Li Mubing nodded and looked at Bawang again, intending to ask for his opinion. Bawang said calmly, just follow what fellow Taoist Chen wants. The rest of them, Wen Xiuman and Granny Zio, had no objections. They were about to enter the inheritance hall to take a rest, and they all expressed their agreement. Out of precaution, before setting foot, Luohuzi asked boldly and carefully, Fairy Ice Spirit, in that handwritten note, is there any record of any severe restrictions placed in the inheritance hall, or is there any puppet guarding it? The handwritten notes only record the location of the heritage hall, and there is no mention of anything in it. Li Mubing shook his head, then reviewed his memory and continued. The inheritance hall of the 5 Elements sect is quite mysterious, and rarely discloses what is inside. However, I have collected information from everywhere for decades, and I have mastered some situations. Oh? Luohuzi was immediately interested when he heard it. Tell me about it. We are already at the inheritance hall, you will know when you go in. Li Mubing smiled slightly, kept it a secret, and took the lead to walk towards the inheritance hall. Haha, It seems that Fairy Bingaling wants to give us some surprises, then Luo must take a good look. Lu Huzi's words relieved the dull and depressing atmosphere, adding a bit of liveliness and expectation. Everyone followed Li Mubing's footsteps and continued to move forward. The inheritance hall is dark golden color, with only one layer. The simple ban outside the hall has been invalid for more than 100 years because it is old and no one maintains it. Everyone came to the door of the inheritance hall, out of vigilance. They each paid attention to the surrounding situation and took the lead in exploring with their spiritual consciousness. As soon as the divine consciousness was released, it became like a drop in the ocean, and nothing could be detected, which made Chen Qingyun frown secretly. Divine prohibition? The divine consciousness of the nascent soul stage was ineffective and blocked here, which made Chen Qingyun have some guesses in his mind and couldn't help but be alert. At the same time, Wen Xiumen and others also encountered the same situation and passively withdrew their divine consciousness. Chapter 842, Golden Palace Heavenly Book, Enlightenment of the Five Elements Wall. Luo Huzi and Old Monster Yan looked at each other, worried about potential threats here. Luo Huzi said, "The restrictions outside the hall no longer exist. But there are still restrictions in this hall. Don't touch anything here at will, so as not to trigger any powerful restrictions." While speaking, Luo Huzi did not forget to glance at Li Mubing, guessing that the other party must know something. He didn't reveal it at this time. Could it be that he really wanted to give everyone a surprise, and there was really no danger in the hall? Li Mubing did not take the initiative to explain, and Luo Huzi did not ask, but paid attention to the surroundings. Entering the inheritance hall, the area inside the hall is very large, presenting a scene of a hall inside the hall. Chen Qingyun took a preliminary look and was immediately attracted by a building. There were 5 huge stone doors, about 10 meters wide and 25 or 26 meters high. The middle position was in the shape of water waves, and there seemed to be a square lake. Around the lake, there was a larger door frame shape, with patterns all over it, and there were exquisitely carved reliefs, forming patterns of spirit beasts. Rather than saying that this is a stone door, it is more like 5 huge stone walls, which are arranged in a circle and form a circle. Chen Qingyun was attracted by these stone doors. He walked forward and took a closer look. He found that each door could be distinguished separately, with a gap in the middle. On the stone doors, there are 5 different forms of sacred beasts carved. Starting from the nearest stone door, it is carved with a blue dragon, showing a posture of soaring in the sky, holding its head high and looking down at all living things, showing the supreme majesty of the dragon clan. Then to the right, there is a flaming red bird, which is fiery red. Looking at it makes people feel that there is a flame burning slowly on this stone door, which looks very vivid. On the third stone door is a white tiger, which is mighty and strong, showing a sharp edge, which makes people dare not despise it. The fourth door is a black tortoise entrenched in the sea, and there are waves of waves faintly coming from it, which is a scene of Hunyuan. The fifth one, next to the azure dragon stone gate, is a unicorn, standing on the wild land, surrounded by mountains and peaks, full of harmony and vitality. Without exception, each of the sacred beast patterns on these 5 stone gates is lifelike, as if they really exist in them, each with its own characteristics, making it difficult to ignore. As long as the cultivators look at them intently, they can intuitively feel that each sacred beast is full of the sense of loneliness and coldness of the 4 seas and 8 wildernesses, which is not used in this world. Just one glance can make the sense of déjà vu deeply imprinted in the hearts of the cultivators, and it can be said that this feeling will never be forgotten in their lives. White tiger of gold, azure dragon of wood, black tortoise of water, vermilion bird of fire, and unicorn of earth. A voice slowly sounded, attracting everyone's attention. Li Mubing's eyes were full of strange colors. Looking at the 5 stone gates, he immediately stepped forward a few steps, and his face showed an excited look. The 5 elements sacred beasts are indeed the 5 elements inheritance of the 5 elements sect. Enlightenment of the 5 elements wall. When the term 5 elements inheritance was heard, everyone present was moved. and they all focused their attention on the 5 stone doors and looked at them carefully. When Chen Qingyun first set foot here, he did not think there was anything unusual, thinking that such an opportunity was not on these stone doors. But at this moment, when he carefully stared at the sacred beast patterns on the 5 stone doors, he actually felt something strange in his body. Whether it was the 5 elements chuaning in his body or the 5 elements origin of the 5 elements puppet. At this moment, it seemed to be restrained by some force and a state of resonance appeared. A feeling emerged in Chen Qingyun's heart, and it was very strong, that is to walk forward and touch the 5 stone doors. Enlightenment of the 5 elements wall. Luo, who also noticed the abnormality here, stepped forward a few steps, and looked at it with burning eyes. Soon he found the key point, staring at the lake-like area in the center of the stone door, and felt that it was unusual. Why does the central area of this stone gate feel like it contains some spatial power? Could it be? As soon as his thoughts moved, Luohuzi's eyes suddenly lit up. He thought of something, turned his head and looked at Li Mubing and asked, could it be that there is another world in this stone gate, and the inheritance here is in it? Luohuzi's question undoubtedly attracted everyone's attention, and the atmosphere suddenly fell into silence. Having come to this point, Li Mubing no longer kept it a secret and nodded slowly. Yes. As for what this Enlightenment 5-element wall is, Li Mubing immediately told the story. The origin of the Enlightenment 5-element wall is mysterious, and it originated from a record called Golden K Heavenly Book. More than 600 years ago, the founder of the 5 Elements sect got a chance when exploring an ancient secret realm and obtained a page of the Golden K Heavenly Book, which is said to record the method of refining this Enlightenment 5-element wall. Over the next 100 years, the founder of the 5 Elements sect collected all kinds of natural treasures, used his supreme supernatural powers, and referred to the records of the Golden Palace Heavenly Book. After 9,981 years, he finally refined the Enlightenment 5 Elements wall. As long as one has reached the Purple Mansion stage and has practiced any of the 5 elements of gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, he can enter the Enlightenment 5 Elements wall to practice. In this way, there is a chance to comprehend the secret power of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, master the laws of the operation of the 5 elements, and the infinite mysteries within. What kind of gains can be made in this process of comprehension depends on the individual and cannot be determined. But what is certain is that in the history of the 5 Elements sect, there have been many giant and cultivators who were stuck in bottlenecks and could not make any progress, and relied on the Enlightenment 5 Elements wall to reach a high point and break through to the nascent soul stage. So this thing is very mysterious. It is a secret in the 5 Elements sect. It is rarely spread to the outside world, which attracts the outside world's covetousness. As Li Mubing finished his story, everyone present showed strange movements on their faces, and wanted to enter it to experience it for themselves. Luohuzi couldn't help but look at the 5 stone doors and landed on the wooden stone door, looking at the sacred beast Qingguang on it. He was the first to speak. How can this opportunity be missed? Let Luo give it a try. After speaking, Luohuzi took the lead in flying into the air, touched the wave area in the middle of the wooden stone door, and was sucked into it. Luohuzi, seeing his friend being sucked in, not knowing what the situation was, Yan Laogui shouted out of vigilance. Ha ha ha, there is really another world. The familiar voice of Luohuzi came from the wooden stone door. Seeing this, Mu Daoren couldn't sit still immediately, and also took off from the ground and flew to the wooden stone door. The same situation occurred. Mu Daoren and Luohuzi were instantly sucked into the space with wood attributes. 2 people in the team had already started to take action. When Xiumen and Li Mubing looked at each other, and each took off into the air and flew towards the gold and water stone gates. Songzhen and Zhu were both water attribute cultivators, so they followed Li Mubing's footsteps and flew towards the water stone gate. The next moment, the 3 of them entered it and disappeared. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 843, 5 Elements Enlightenment. 3 years passed in a flash. Grandma Zhu was also a water-attributed cultivator. Before she set off, she glanced at Chen Qingyun, Bang, and Old Monster Yen, who had not yet taken action, and flew into the stone gate of water. Old Monster Yen said nothing, but laughed loudly and threw himself into the stone gate of fire. Enlightenment of the 5 elements wall. Chen Qingyun muttered to himself, and he was also a little impatient. For precaution, he did not rush in, but let Bang take the first step and fly into the stone gate of fire. In an instant, the sky spun and the earth turned, and the scene in front of him changed the world. Wherever he looked, the sky was full of red clouds, covering the sky, layer upon layer, reflecting a fiery red scene. Magma was everywhere on the earth, presenting the appearance of rocky scorched earth, as if he had come to a world of fire, and the temperature became hot. Under the red clouds, a majestic red bird that covered the sky and the sun stood proudly, showing its domineering posture of who else but me, dominating the 9 heavens. In front of this red bird, Chen Qingyun felt that he was extremely small, just a tiny dust here. The strong fire attribute aura around him and the mysterious fire method were undoubtedly revealed, impacting Chen Qingyun's perception. Chen Qingyun clearly felt that the power in his body was passively pulled, and the main Da Renji was automatically running. What, a mysterious firepower! This scene surprised Chen Qingyun. He felt hot all over, as if a large amount of fire attribute magic power had appeared out of thin air, and he was about to enter a state of enlightenment. Looking up at the red bird again, it was still perched in the 9 heavens, showing a look-down attitude of looking down on all living beings. The red clouds in the sky floated and gathered, and the clouds rolled and spread, layer by layer, spreading to all directions, covering the sky. This world seems endless and boundless, but there is no sun hanging high in the sky. It seems that the vermilion bird is the sun here. At this time, when looking for the old monster Yen, there is no trace of him. He seems to be in another place in this space, far away from here. This fire space is huge in scale. It is an illusion. It can assist the fire attribute monks to practice enlightenment and obtain excellent cultivation benefits. When the monks enter here, they will be randomly dispersed to different areas so that they will not disturb each other and can practice freely. Chen Qingyun bit his tongue and regained some clarity, temporarily unaffected. Standing in front of the 5 stone doors, Chen Qingyun released the 3 clones of Jiuyu, Hanbing and Poseidon on the spot. Then, these clones acted with him and flew into the 4 stone doors of gold, wood, water and earth, preparing to practice enlightenment and make the most of this opportunity. After doing all this, Chen Qingyun immersed himself in his mind and gradually felt that he had merged with this world. In this way, sometimes it turned into the red clouds floating in the sky, sometimes it turned into the hot magma on the earth, and sometimes it felt like the red bird that looked down on the world. For a moment, it felt like a dream, and some insights and feelings came to mind. I was completely immersed in this state of enlightenment, so much so that I ignored the passage of time. At the same time, almost the same scene was being played out in the other 4 spaces. In the water space, this is Hunyuan, a vast ocean. The sea water rises and falls, a black tortoise is entrenched in the sea and the sky are the same color. In the gold space, a white tiger is majestic and domineering. In the wood space, a blue dragon spans the mountains and fields. In the earth space, a unicorn stands tall. Li Mubing, Wenzai Lolhuzi, and even Songzin and others have their own insights. They are completely immersed in their own insights and practice, enjoying the mysterious laws spread from the surrounding heaven and earth, and completely forgetting the passage of time. In a blink of an eye, spring went and autumn came, the stars moved, and 3 years passed. Chen Qingyun was the first to wake up, and he felt that his strength had reached the bottleneck of the early stage of the nascent soul without knowing it. He was only 1 step away from the middle stage of the nascent soul. Using the 4 clones and the main body to comprehend the 5 elements, Chen Qingyun felt that he had gained a lot in the field of the five elements. He could use the power of the five elements more skillfully and flexibly to maximize the strength of the five elements puppets and even himself. For example, the most basic fire magic, such as the Fire Domain Meteor and the Molten Fire Shield Light, had a deeper understanding, which could optimize the shortcomings and enhance some power. After calming his mind and taking a deep breath, Chen Qingyun bowed to the vermilion bird in the world, as a token of gratitude for being able to comprehend and practice with the help of this place. The vermilion bird seemed to have sensed something, and cried out to the sky, and the surrounding red cloud suddenly surged, and the world changed. The magma on the ground boiled several times continuously, as if the ground was beating. This scene only appeared for a few seconds, and then it returned to its original state. Chen Qingyun flew out of the fire space and returned to the inheritance hall. With a thought, the other four clones flew out of their respective spaces one by one, leaving only Bang, and the rest returned to the fairy hall. Finding that he was the first to come out, Chen Qingyun sat cross-legged and waited, not forgetting to look around carefully. The entire inheritance hall seemed quiet, no ghost cultivators were active here, and there were no other valuable treasures around. The biggest opportunity treasure here is this Enlightenment 5 Elements wall. Chen Qingyun looked around carefully and found that this thing could not be collected by brute force. Upon closer inspection, a layer of protective prohibition was deliberately laid on it, which needed to be cracked with the corresponding 5 elements origin. The role of the 5 elements origin here is equivalent to a key. Otherwise, once violently dismantled, damage will undoubtedly occur. The 5 elements sect kept this hand. It seems that they don't want the 5 elements wall of enlightenment to fall into the hands of outsiders. If I bring this thing back to the family, it can also assist the 5th sister, King Luan, and the others in their cultivation. Chen Qingyun had a strong desire in his heart to seize this opportunity. It's just that Luohuzi and the others haven't come out yet, and it's hard to take action now, so we can only wait a moment, and we can't rush this moment. After waiting for more than 10 days, Wanjiantu, Luohuzi and others also flew out one after another. Each of them had some enlightenment. Their faces were full of joy, and it seemed that they had gained a lot. After everyone talked and exchanged time, they discovered that 3 full years had passed. This time, everyone was immersed in the enlightenment of the 5 elements wall, and could not sense the time at all. This made several people immediately check the surrounding environment, and only started talking after making sure it was safe. Haha, 3 years have passed in the blink of an eye, and I have gained a lot this time. This trip was not in vain. Luohuzi laughed, unable to hide the joy on his face. This cultivation experience gave him the confidence to hit the nascent soul stage. Yu Ying's cultivation level has grown most obviously. She has passed through the 5 elements wall of enlightenment and has broken through the middle stage of the golden elixir in one fell swoop. The look of joy on her face attracted the attention of Li Mubing and Song Xin. Chapter 844 Weird Puppet. Yu Ying's improvement in strength was expected by everyone. Li Mubing simply explained that ordinary giant and monks who enter the 5 elements wall of enlightenment for the first time have a high chance of breaking through the bottleneck and reaching a higher level. If Luohuzi, Wanjiantu and others had not broken through to the peak of giant before, they might be able to break through the bottleneck here. From the golden elixir stage to the nascent soul stage, it also depends on the individual's understanding and qualifications. It is not possible to achieve 100% success with the help of these 5 element walls. After checking the time, it turned out that 3 years had passed. This made Chen Qingyun frown secretly. He quickly paid attention to the blessing land beads and checked the status of the 3 cold flame flowers. 9 years have passed since it was transplanted into the foodie pearl. As time passed, the 3 cold flame flowers had matured and reached the standard for picking. This attracted Bai Ling to guard it carefully, waiting for Chen Qingyun to pick it up. Fortunately, the cold flame flower has a 10-year harvesting period after it matures. It will gradually wither after this period is exceeded. In terms of time, it can be harvested in 6 years at the latest, but there is no rush for it. No one noticed Chen Qingyun's expression. They were all talking about the harvest of the past 3 years and did not feel that time was wasted. Old Monster Yen, Granny Zio, and Wen Xiumen also felt that this trip was very worthwhile. They exchanged a few words and decided to collect the 5 Elements Wall of Enlightenment first, and then continue to explore. This proposal just went with Chen Qingyun's wishes. Several people groped around for a while and each came to a conclusion. Luohuzi and Old Monster Yen were both formation masters. They quickly came to the same conclusion as Chen Qingyun and looked at Chen Qingyun. Old Monster Yen and I looked carefully and found that a layer of blockade has been set up here. If there is no corresponding way to open it, forcibly breaking the ban will only be counterproductive. This still requires fellow Taoist Chen to take action and use the 5 Elements puppet to lift the restrictions here. Only then can we collect it. Luo Hubeard said. Li Mubing guessed this and knew how useful the 5 Elements puppet could be here. As for some subsequent bans, it is estimated that the 5 Elements puppet will also need to take action. Let me collect this. Chen Qingyun spoke calmly, sacrificed a 5 Elements puppet, communicated with the 5 Elements Wall of Enlightenment, lifted the lock and restriction, and put it into the Blessed Land Pearl in one fell swoop. According to the content of the agreement, it is not whoever collects this thing who will own it in the end. After the exploration is completed, it will need to be divided up. If you encounter a treasure more precious than this later, you will have more choices. After leaving the Heritage Hall, several people walked in the direction of the library pavilion. They passed by the puppet hall on the way and were attracted by it. There are 3 floors in the puppet hall. As the name suggests, this is naturally a place where some puppets are stored, and there may be other things. A few people stopped by to take a look. They walked through the hall on the first floor and walked through the huge wooden partitions. A chaotic scene began to appear in front of them. The cabinet doors, storage rooms, etc. that were originally built to house the puppets have become empty now. Instead, many puppets appeared on the originally empty ground, piled up in random directions and scattered on the ground. These puppets come in all kinds of shapes, including leopards, tigers, lions, giant apes, etc., and they appear extremely chaotic. Looking at this situation, it looks like it has been through a battle. Many of them have been damaged and are no longer complete. This scene made Chen Qingyun and others secretly vigilant, sensing that something was wrong in the atmosphere. No, has anyone else been here? Old Monster Yen squinted his eyes and looked around the palace, always feeling like something was peeking at him. There is something weird here. Please be careful. Luo Tu, who had always been carefree, frowned at this moment, sensing something was wrong. A few people did not dare to be careless at all and stepped forward to inspect the puppets. Among them were some exquisitely crafted and lifelike humanoid puppets. Seeing those puppets, Chen Qingyun's expression condensed. He did not sense the existence of the 5 Elements origins in them, but appeared in the shape of a black energy block. This black clump of energy was not a spiritual stone, and Chen Qingyun did not recognize it for a while. What is this? When Chen Qingyun was confused, he used Baoang to sense it carefully and scanned it with his spiritual consciousness, and immediately discovered something was wrong. The black energy is a bit weird. It is not pure energy. It is also mixed with some netherworld energy, which looks like it is contaminated. This is definitely not a pure source of energy. Has a ghost cultivator come into contact with these puppets? Some puppets are weird. It was at this time that a voice sounded. Several people followed the sound and saw Wen Xiumen with a vigilant look on her face, her eyes fixed firmly on the black humanoid puppet 100 meters away. The humanoid puppet is a male figure, clearly distinguished from the surrounding tigers, leopards, lizards and other puppets, and is sitting on the ground. Chen Qingyun sensed it carefully and found that this humanoid puppet was also the source of the strangeness. It was actually surrounded by the aura of the netherworld. Moreover, there is no dust covering the puppet's body and it is clean. At a glance, you can tell that it is not a dead thing that has been motionless for a long time. Are these 5 Elements puppets, or ordinary puppets? Taoran took a few steps forward and was about to check, but the next moment he suddenly felt that there was danger. When he took a closer look, he saw a green light glowing in the humanoid puppet's eyes, and he suddenly raised his head. "There's a ghost!" Mew, Dao Ren shouted, and immediately offered a green shield to protect himself, and took 2 steps back. At the same time, the golden flame lamp and the 4-spirit ruler rotated in the air, protecting everyone. Seeing someone appear, the humanoid puppet stood up first and launched an attack, controlling a blood-red blade to hit everyone. At the same time, among the puppets, 3 figures suddenly jumped up and launched a sneak attack. They were also humanoid puppets, each urging the 3 kinds of magic weapons, spears, flying needles, and flying swords to launch attacks. Old Monster Yen, Luohuzi and others reacted quickly, and urged the magic weapons to counterattack, fighting with the opponent's magic weapons. Grandmazu and Mu Dao Ren were protected in the center by everyone, and each used their own means to assist. One continued to protect the soul, and the other helped to restore the magic power. In the first fight, these 4 humanoid puppets were all in the giant stage, 2 in the late stage and 2 in the peak stage. The flame-flying blade of Old Monster Yen came into contact with the flying needle and was deflected. He then used the 4th-level Binding Spirit Talisman to attack, firmly restraining the opponent. Chen Qingyun took out a Thunderstorm Skyfire Talisman and struck it, and the violent Thunderstorm Skyfire showed its power. The puppet was swept by flames and thunder at the same time, and after a burst of black smoke, it exploded. Chapter 845 Ancient Puppet Refining. As soon as the battle started, Chen Qingyun completed the first kill. Baoang followed closely, using the green mirror, and shot out 3 rays of light in turn, hitting the 3 magic weapons, the flying needle, the blade, and the spear. These 3 attacks directly defeated the power of the 3 magic weapons, making them temporarily ineffective, and they were about to fall to the ground. The Cauldron of All Things appeared immediately, releasing 3 rays of precious light, and before the 3 magic weapons fell to the ground, they were all collected in the cauldron. After the magic weapons were collected, the combat effectiveness of these human-shaped puppets was greatly reduced, and they actually ran away to one side. Unfortunately, in front of Chen Qingyun and others, these puppets not only did not pose any threat, but also made themselves boring. Baoang shot out 3 streams of light, accurately piercing the 5 elements of the 3 human-shaped puppets, and ended the battle in one fell swoop. After the human-shaped puppet fell to the ground, a burst of black smoke rose from his body, and after a few sad and shrill roars, it quickly stopped, which made several people's scalps numb. 3 black stones rolled out of the puppet, and one of them rolled to Luohuzi's feet. It was dark and round, like a dried black fruit core, only the size of 2 fingers. Luohuzi felt strange and wanted to collect it, but he did not touch it carelessly. Instead, he first set his eyes on the remains of the puppets. In order to ensure safety, several people came forward to check and found that the puppet contained the breath of ghost cultivators, as if the body was occupied by ghost cultivators. Puppets and ghost cultivators can merge into one. What is the situation? Luohuzi looked puzzled, and then looked at the other puppets around him. He only felt that there were ghost cultivators hiding here, and he felt like a sheep in a tiger's den. It is not easy to determine whether the ghost cultivators can control the puppets or have already lived in these puppets. Li Mubing said, paying close attention to the other puppets around him, and did not detect the aura of the netherworld in them, and behaved very normally. Granny Zhu, who rarely spoke, took a step forward, picked up a piece of puppet debris and looked at it for a few times, and immediately had the answer in her mind. It's a puppet refining. Hearing Granny Zhu speak, Chen Qingyun and others all looked at Granny Zhu. Luohuzi heard about puppet refining for the first time and didn't know the origin of this thing. He asked, what exactly is this puppet refining? They are so flexible in controlling magic tools. Ghost cultivators below the nascent soul stage naturally cannot carry storage bags or control ordinary magic tools because they don't have a Taoist body. But the situation in front of them is very strange. These puppets are controlled by ordinary magic tools, not special for ghost cultivators. What's more, if these puppets are not controlled by anyone, it is impossible for them to move on their own. There is also a ghost aura in the body, which is more like being occupied by ghost cultivators. This is a bit like taking over the body, but the object of the possession is these puppets. It is indeed a puppet refining. When Xiumen also spoke, verifying Granny Zhu's guess. She didn't keep the secret and started to tell the story right away. The so-called puppet refining is also called the puppet of cultivation. It is a puppet created by cultivators to prevent accidents in advance when their Taoist body is damaged and there is no body nearby to live in. This kind of puppet is made of special materials, such as branches of the spiritual wood, soul stones and other materials, which can preserve the soul of the cultivator. Even for a long time in the future, as long as the puppet itself is not damaged. In theory, this state of living can continue. Compared with the physical body, it will not feel pain, and it can continue to cultivate the soul and control the magic weapon. However, the only pity is that practicing in this way can only improve the soul, but cannot enhance the realm's strength. If you live in the early stage of the Purple Mansion, there is no great opportunity to be born. Even if you practice for 300 to 500 years, you will still be in the early stage of the Purple Mansion. This is the puppet refining, a very niche and rare puppet, which is a transition before taking over the body. Puppet refining only existed in ancient times. After the great destruction of ancient times, this refining method has been extinct and has not been passed down. These puppet refining in front of us are probably the last ones. When Xiumen said, very interested in this kind of puppet, which can actually allow ghost cultivators to live in it and survive until now. If we had not been vigilant before and thought that these puppets were dead, we would have been really fooled. Knowing that puppet refining originated from ancient times and had such ability, Chen Qingyun and others did not dare to be careless and carefully searched the puppets piled up and placed on the ground. According to Wen Xiumen's description, puppet refining is easy to distinguish. The most important feature is that it is human-shaped. The other is that the material is easy to distinguish. Most of them are wood, and there will be a clear touch when the spirit sense touches it. After a check, there are a total of 12 puppet refining on the first floor, 8 of which have been destroyed by giant and ghost cultivators fighting for them. The other 4 were destroyed in the previous battle. As for the other puppets, they were also maliciously destroyed and eaten by the ghost cultivators. Most of them have become ineffective and are no different from scrap metal. Old Monster Yen looked at the 4 soul stones scattered on the ground from time to time, and his eyes intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Wen Xiumen and Granny Zhu. Seeing old Monster Yen's behavior, Granny Zhu kindly reminded him out of kindness, "This is the core of puppet refining, the soul stone, fellow Taoist Yen. Be careful of the remaining netherworld energy in it." Hearing that it was related to the core of the puppet and seemed to be of some value, old Monster Yen immediately used his magic power to pick it up. Seeing that his friend wanted to take advantage again, Luohuzi sighed in a low voice, but did not say anything. The soul stone is as heavy as a stone, so it can still be used? Old Monster Yen thought to himself and looked at it carefully. You don't have to look at it. After the soul residing in it is destroyed, the soul stone will become invalid. This thing has no use value. Immediately afterwards, when Xiumen's words came over. Boom. Then, it's better not to do it. Old Monster Yen shook his head and threw away the soul stone. The other puppets on the ground, which are still valuable, can only be used as materials for refining weapons. Several people took what they needed, collected some, and started exploring the second and third floors. There are more than 100 puppets stored on the second floor, including gold puppets, wood puppets, water puppets, fire puppets and earth puppets. These 5 types are all single-type puppets. They do not have the origin of the 5 elements in their bodies and need to be driven by spiritual stones. This kind of puppet can be driven by a single or multiple monks. It is a product made by a puppet master. Its effect is close to that of a 5-element puppet and it can cast 5-element spells. These puppets have reached the 4th level, with a total of 150. And only 21 are usable. The number of puppets on the 3rd level is very small, 33 in total, and only 3 are available. Seeing that a large number of puppets had been damaged, Luohuzi shook his head, feeling very regretful. Fortunately, The 3rd level puppets are of very good quality. They are 5th level puppets, which are equivalent to the initial strength of nascent soul. A puppet of this level needs to be activated with the best spiritual stones, and at the same time, it needs to master a corresponding technique to control it. Chapter 846, Library Pavilion Restriction, 9 Fire Golden Luan Formation. This technique is called Tongbao Technique, and it is a 5th level puppet refined by the 5 Elements sect. It is used by some special 5 Elements magic weapons, which are not shown here. Everyone knew this because they saw the jade slip placed next to the puppet. This jade slip mentions this and explains the origin of the puppet. Although I have not obtained the Tongbao Shu, I don't know if it is easy to practice. But this achievement still boosted the morale of the team. It is estimated that Tongbao Shu is included in that library. Everyone left the puppet hall, walked a certain distance, and finally found the library pavilion. This library is located on the central spiritual line of the 5 Elements sect and is located in the east. It covers a large area and is divided into 6 floors. When you step into this area, you can clearly feel that the concentration of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the air has increased tremendously. Looking at the central spiritual vein contaminated by the netherworld's energy, Taoist Mu said with a regretful expression, "Hey, this is a 6th level spiritual vein, which can support the cultivation of great monks in the transformation stage. It's a pity that the spiritual veins are now turbid, and the monks can no longer absorb and refine the spiritual energy in them. It is really a waste of natural resources." Mu. Taoist sighed with emotion, and old monster Yan answered, "If the 6th level spiritual vein hadn't been contaminated by the aura of the netherworld, how would we have had the chance to set foot here? I'm afraid this place would have been destroyed by the demon cultivators from the Black Dragon Palace and the Demon Ancestor Palace." Occupied. High level. Monsters also like to occupy high-level spiritual veins. 6th level spiritual veins are already the top existence in the inner sea, and no force is not jealous of them. It is a pity that the ruins of the 5 Elements sect are connected to the netherworld passage. They have been invaded by the netherworld chi all the year round. The source of the spiritual veins has been assimilated and polluted. It can no longer supply the monks, and the monsters and beasts can live and multiply. Only ghost cultivators or a small number of yin-attributed creatures can adapt to the environment here and remain unaffected. Everyone showed their skills to isolate the surrounding netherworld, and walked non-stop to the door of the library, where they found that the entire library was wrapped in a restriction. Seeing the restriction, Luohuzi and others looked at each other and did not dare to act rashly. Since the effect and power of this restriction were not yet known, Chen Qingyun stepped forward to check carefully. After carefully examining it with the Qi watching technique, I found that this restriction reached the 4th level of the best level. The entire restriction appears pale golden, and there are 4 phantoms of sacred birds entrenched on it, located in the 4 directions of southeast, northwest and northwest. These 4 divine bird phantoms have the same shape, and they all resemble Qingguang. But the difference is that they are golden in color and have 9 feathers and tails. They look quite sacred and do not look like ordinary birds and beasts. 4 years ago, Chen Qingyun often read the books left by Zhang Yuan, many of which recorded various ancient prohibitions and formations. At this time, looking at the appearance of this forbidden area, the corresponding information emerged in my mind. This is a kind of restriction called the 9 Fire Golden Luan Formation. It originates from ancient times and incorporates the essence of an ancient golden Luan. It is famous for its top fire attribute power. This object is the same as the refining method of the puppet, which has been lost with the destruction of the ancient times. At the same time, Luohuzi and old monster Yan stepped forward to check, and found that based on their own experience, they did not recognize this kind of restriction. The 2 people's eyes couldn't help but fall on Chen Qingyun, and they realized that Chen Qingyun seemed to see something. "Fellow Taoist Chen, seeing that you are thoughtful, what do you see?" Old monster Yan was embarrassed to ask, so he could only try to use Chen Qingyun's words. Luohuzi glanced at old monster Yan and didn't like this kind of tricking people. He was very straightforward and asked directly, "There are 4 big flaming birds up here. They look like King Luan but not King Luan. What is this restriction? Luo is inexperienced and didn't see it. Fellow Taoist Chen, did you see the origin? Chen Qingyun stood in front of the restriction, beckoning everyone not to act trashly, and said calmly, "This is the 9-fire golden Luan formation. Like the previous refining puppets, it is a product of the ancient times before the Great Destruction. It's related to the ancient monks again." When Luo Huzi heard this, he couldn't help scratching his head. What, a headache? The Five Elements sect has only been established a few years ago, less than 3,000 years ago. How come they have a good grasp of the methods of the ancient monks? Is it possible that they have obtained some inheritance from the ancient monks? As soon as these words came out, the Taoist Mu took a few steps forward with the sacred wood staff in his hand, stared at the restriction in front of him and said, "The ancient monks have mysterious methods and mastered many magical powers that reach the heavens and the earth. This kind of ancient prohibition is really rare. If you can master it, you will definitely gain some insights." Hey, having said that, after the great destruction of ancient times, many resources in the world of immortality have become extinct. Even if we can master the principles and cannot find the corresponding production materials, it will be difficult to reproduce such ancient methods. Luo Huzi sighed with emotion and returned to the topic. "Fellow Taoist Chen, please continue to tell me what is so powerful about this restriction." Chen Qingyun pondered for a moment and said, "There is a golden Luan divine bird on all 4 sides of the ban. Once it is forcibly dismantled and the ban is touched, these 4 golden Luan divine birds will be triggered to release golden flames, divine fire. This fire is very weird and has a locking effect. Once it comes into contact, even the nascent soul of the nascent soul cultivator can be incinerated. If the golden core cultivator is contaminated, the consequences can be imagined." 9. Fire Golden Luan Formation. This golden Luan divine bird is not simple, if I remember correctly, old man. This is a sacred beast of the immortal family at the same level as the ancient King Luan. No wonder it looks so similar to King Luan. Knowing the power of this restriction, Mu Daoren took 2 steps back in fear, and was glad that he had not touched it casually just now. It can be called the Golden Flame Divine Fire. It is called the Divine Fire, so how can it be an ordinary flame? It must be extremely powerful. Luo Huzi frowned when he heard this, and subconsciously said, "Such a tricky golden flame divine fire, I wonder if it can be directly cracked by the black water fire dividing technique." As soon as the voice fell, he shook his head again and again. No, why do I always want to rely on Hunyuan to solve the problem when I encounter a tricky fire attribute restriction? Where can I put my face as an elder? I really feel guilty. He smiled at Yu Ying, causing Yu Ying to lower her head, and then continued, "Fellow Taoist Chen, since you can recognize this kind of restriction, do you have a way to crack it?" Everyone's eyes fell on Chen Qingyun. Chen Qingyun reviewed his memory and did know how to crack it. There are 2 ways to crack it. The first one is to have 4 giant and peak cultivators join forces, stand around the restriction at the same time, and launch earth attribute attacks at the same time, and then it can be violently cracked. But the problem is that this restriction has been untended for a long time, and no one can guarantee that once it is violently dismantled, the library will not be affected. The martial arts books and so on here cannot be destroyed in this way. Yes, fellow Taoist Chen is still thoughtful. When he heard that the library might be damaged, Taoist Mu immediately shook his head and refused. This library cannot be lost, and there is no one among us who specializes in earth attribute martial arts, so let's look at the second method. Chapter 847 Puppet breaks the ban. Well, the library cannot be damaged. There are treasures in it. Luo Huzi nodded heavily and said solemnly, "Then what is the second solution?" Chen Qingyun continued, "This second method is more special. You can use the 5-element origin to restrain it, and open an entrance to the restriction without completely activating the 4 ancient golden Luan. This method is the same as opening the elixir garden before. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun did not rush to answer, but looked away and looked at Li Mubing. Fairy, Ice Spirit, what do you think? Chen Qingyun's glance immediately diverted the attention of several people. Mu Taoist, Wen Ziyuman and others concentrated their attention, wondering why they were asking about Li Mubing again. Could this woman also understand? Just as he was wondering, Li Mubing smiled bitterly. It made fellow Taoist Chen laugh. She spread out her delicate hands, took out a volume of handwritten notes, and presented them in front of everyone. We used the 5 elements puppet to open the restriction outside the spiritual medicine garden. This 9-fire golden Luan formation, I guess, is essentially the same as the spiritual medicine garden restriction. This volume of handwritten notes was left by Heng Zhengcheng. Among them, there is a few words mentioned that many of the restrictions in the 5 elements sect require the corresponding 5 elements puppet to open. There was a precedent for the elixir garden, so Li Mubing thought of this. But she was not sure in her heart and needed Chen Qingyun to verify it. As expected, Li Mubing did have some notes in his hand, which he would only show at critical moments. This approach is not to protect herself. It can make everyone realize that she holds a lot of important information, so they need to protect her all the way. Who among the people present has no selfish motives? Nothing is as simple as it seems on the surface. In this regard, several people did not have any objections. They themselves had something to hide, so how could they reveal all their family assets? Luohuzi touched his chin and thought for a while. Then he had the answer in his mind and said, in that case, let's not talk nonsense. We still need fellow Taoist Chen to show off his skills. As soon as these words came out, Li Mubing and others nodded, and then all stepped back a few steps, signaling Chen Qingyun to show off his skills. However, after just waiting for a while, several people saw that Chen Qingyun made no move and seemed to have no idea of taking action. The library was right in front of him, and old monster Yan was impatient and wanted to urge Chen Qingyun to take action. But I thought that I was not familiar with Chen Qingyun, so it was hard to speak at this moment, lest there be a gap. Mu Taoran hesitated for a moment, then asked in confusion, what, fellow Taoist Chen, is there anything wrong? Li Mubing observed Chen Qingyun's thoughts and took the initiative to offer some suggestions. This 9-fire golden Luan formation is very powerful. Even if you use the 5 elements puppet to crack it, it will take a lot of effort and energy. Since fellow Taoist Chen can recognize it and has the method to crack it, I think it is fair that fellow Taoist Chen can make some appropriate demands and divide the benefits after the matter is completed. As soon as Li Mubing said these words, old monster Yan and the others looked at each other, wanting to see how each other would express their opinions. Luohuzi didn't like ink stains, so he was the first to say, this treasure is always reserved for those who are capable. If fellow Taoist Chen can break the formation, Luo thinks it is okay. Seeing that Luohuzi had expressed his stance and the others did not speak, Li Mubing looked at Chen Qingyun while the iron was hot. Fellow Taoist Chen, what kind of request do you want to make? You might as well tell me. Chen Qingyun had this idea himself and couldn't possibly work in vain, so he didn't rush to do it. Seeing Li Mubing pointed out at this time, he followed Li Mubing's words and said unceremoniously, it's not easy to break the formation. Chen's request is very simple. This time it will be counted as a meritorious service. After the girl, Chen will give priority to selecting a treasure as a reward. As soon as Chen Qingyun said these words, the atmosphere fell into silence. Luohuzi and others had their own thoughts, and they all thought of the 5 elements wall of enlightenment and the 3 nascent soul puppets. According to what has been gained along the way, these 2 are currently the most valuable treasures. Among them, the 3 nascent soul puppets are not classified as one treasure, but are divided into 3 parts. That means 4 treasures. Senior Lu gave priority to choosing 3 items. Whether it is the remaining nascent soul puppet or the 5 elements wall of enlightenment, there is a great possibility that Yu Ying will choose it. When the time comes, if Chen Qingyun continues to give priority to selection, what else can he get? It's nothing more than the better looking 4th level puppet. After all, Everyone can share the exercises and books. After thinking about it this way, some people soon felt that it was quite reasonable. Old Monster Yen was still hesitant, wanting to test the power of the 9-fire Golden Luan formation to see if it was as Chen Qingyun said. But when he got closer, he felt the energy fluctuations in the restriction, which contained the terrifying power of fire, and his expression was secretly startled. Such an astonishing flame can really kill nascent soul cultivators. I'd rather not risk it and cause conflicts with these people. This Chen Qingyun's strength is not weaker than mine, and his knowledge is so good. He must have really seen the origin of this ban. He didn't say it casually just to raise the price, or to scare us on purpose. For the sake of those martial arts books, we have come to this point, so we can only give up some benefits first. Only with losses can we gain. Old Monster Yen knew the pros and cons and knew the appropriateness, so he immediately gave up the idea of trying. The atmosphere was silent for a while, and soon Li Mubing was the first to nod. The rest of the people were clear-headed, and they knew the current situation. Whether it was for the martial arts books in the library, or for other treasures that had not yet appeared and might be more precious than these, there was no need to hesitate. It was still unknown what treasures could be discovered later, so it was better to focus on the present and harvest the martial arts books in the library. In just a moment, everyone agreed to Chen Qingyun's request. In the eyes of everyone, Chen Qingyun remained calm, slowly took out the fairy palace, and released the fire god clone from it. The fire god clone has the 5 elements origin, which is an upgraded version of the 5 elements puppet, and naturally meets the requirements for breaking the ban. Chen Qingyun's mind moved, and the fire god clone stepped forward a few steps, revealing the 5 elements origin in the body, turning into a series of magic power threads, and slowly touched the 9-fire Golden Luan formation. A magical scene appeared. At the moment the formation was touched, the ancient golden phoenixes on all 4 sides of the formation suddenly lit up their eyes, emitting a strong pressure. The 4 ancient golden phoenixes hummed softly, the sound shook the heaven and earth, and then they all flapped their wings and released 9 golden flames. A total of 36 flames appeared, surrounding the library, and the scorching and terrifying temperature instantly swept the world. Chapter 848 Zion Cave. Around the library, sensing the power of the 36 golden flames, a large amount of ghost fog retreated like a tide, revealing a piece of sky. Hundreds of ghost cultivators seemed to have sensed some terrifying existence at this time, and rushed away from this area. Sensing the abnormality around them, Old Monster Yen and Luohuzi looked at each other in surprise. Just a little activation of the formation made the ghost fog and ghost cultivators so afraid. How powerful is this formation? 36 golden flames circled in the air, turning into a virtual image of a Dharma image that resembled the ancient golden phoenix, floating in the air, vivid and presenting a world of fire. 9-fire golden phoenix formation. When several people were curious, they carefully sensed it and were immediately shocked. What a strong power! Old Monster Yen exclaimed, sensing the power of the 9-fire golden phoenix formation at close range, and immediately retreated a few steps to the back. Just the might of that golden flame made him feel terrified, and he was not sure of confronting it head-on. Burning the sky and boiling the sea, the momentum soared into the sky, the strongest world-destroying flame in the world. I'm afraid it is like this. The power of this ancient golden phoenix is far beyond imagination. The ancient golden phoenix, with a golden body and 9 feathers, can release golden flames. It belongs to the same family as the blue phoenix, with a slightly stronger bloodline, and is a subspecies of the phoenix. At the same time, Li Mubing, Zigranny and others did the same, avoiding them from a distance, fearing that they would touch these golden flames. Fortunately, because the 5 elements were used, the might of this formation could only be revealed once or twice, and then quickly converged. The entire ban was not fully activated. Sensing that the threat was being lifted, everyone focused their eyes and saw that the position touched by the 5 elements began to spread a circle of red light to the surroundings. In just 2 breaths, the door of the library. The originally covered restriction was opened, and a door for entry and exit was slowly opened. Ha, it's open. I still have to rely on fellow Taoist Chen. Seeing that the restriction was successfully opened, Luohuzi laughed and took the lead to boldly step into the library. Chen Qingyun put away the fire god clone, and followed Li Mubing and others into the library. Because of the protection of the restriction. The items in the library are not destroyed by time, external factors and other factors, and they are all well preserved. This first floor is neatly filled with bookshelves, with many jade slips, books, ancient scrolls, etc. Li Mubing took a preliminary look and found that there were no cultivators guarding here, let alone ghost cultivators hiding. She said to everyone with a happy look, "There are a total of 6 floors. Let's act together and start from the first floor." Okay. Mu, Daoran and Luohuzi nodded in unison. Everyone quickly started to collect. Chen Qingyun took a quick look and found that the first layer contained some qi refining and foundation building techniques, and there were no restrictions in the jade slips. Those scrolls, ancient books, etc. were also displayed openly without any confidentiality measures. The fact is that the 5 Elements Sect's library is completely open to the sect's disciples, and they can come to observe and comprehend at will. As long as they abide by the rules and do not circulate them to others at will, it will be fine. In less than an incense stick of time, everyone had collected the first layer and went straight to the second and third layers. The higher you go, the higher the grade of the techniques included, and the more precious the books are. The 4th, 5th, and 6th layers behind are mostly strange stories and rare ancient books. In less than an hour, the entire library was emptied, without leaving any page of paper. In order to load these techniques and books, almost everyone filled a storage bag. The subsequent transcription and sharing is definitely a big project, which cannot be completed in a short time. After getting a lot of harvest, everyone was satisfied and left the library together. In order to take out the harvest here to the greatest extent and ensure safety, the storage bags were temporarily carried by Baoang. Seeing that there were still places in the intersect area that had not been explored, and the caves of the 5 Elements Sect's high-level officials on the central mountain range, this area contained opportunities. Luohuzi was still a little reluctant. "Since we are here, let's explore it to the end this time, and evacuate quickly when we really can't move forward." As he said, Luohuzi looked at Li Mubing and asked, "From the map, this place is not far from the caves of the high-level cultivators of the 5 Elements Sect. I believe there are some treasures in the caves." If Luo remembers correctly, does the cultivators' cave still contain the 5 Elements Sect's treasures? When it comes to the cultivators' cave and the treasure, Yan Legui also became interested and listened with his eyes narrowed. According to the division of the benefits of this exploration, they are very clear that there is only 40% of the benefits. Apart from the skills, they have not gained many treasures now. As for the Enlightenment 5 Elements Wall, Yuanying puppets, etc., Senior Lu, you girl, and Chen Qingyun have to choose first. There are really not many good things left for them in the end. It's nothing more than some 4th-level puppets, which makes Yan Legui and Mu Daoran want to explore more. It's rare to have a Yuanying cultivator like Baoang leading the team, so naturally they won't think about spending time and effort to explore again in the future. Even if they agree, Yu Ying probably won't agree. Who wants to risk their life like this? After Luohuzi mentioned this, Li Mubing also wanted to continue exploring, and didn't want to come for the 3rd time and let Yu Ying lose his lifespan again. Yu Ying nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, agreeing to explore to the end this time, but she didn't want to come for the 3rd time. Li Mubing took out the map and compared the location on it. From the map, there is another area in the 5 Elements Sect that is worth exploring. It is indeed the cave area, where the high-level members of the 5 Elements Sect live and practice. The place where the 5 Elements Sect collects the sect's treasures is also in that area, called Zion Cave Mansion. Mentioning Zion Cave Mansion, Li Mubing shared the information he had. Zion Cave Mansion is very mysterious. It is the place where the 5 Elements Sect's treasures are stored. At the same time, it also collects many treasures of the 5 Elements Sect. The ancestral temple of the 5 Elements Sect is also in the Zion Cave Mansion. Mentioning Zion Cave Mansion, Li Mubing couldn't hide the expectation on his face. It can be said that, except for the library, this is the most attractive place in the Five Elements sect ruins. However, as the place where the Five Elements sect stores the sect's treasures and many treasures, it must not be a simple cave. The reason why it is called mysterious is that Hang Zhengcheng was also very curious when he mentioned it, and he had never set foot there. Li Mubing has been collecting information for these years, and he has only found out that Xian Cave Mansion belongs to the restricted area of the Five Elements sect. Only the heads of the past generations or the supreme elders are qualified to enter. It is unknown what secrets are contained in it. It is only known that even the disciples of the Five Elements sect think that Xian Cave Mansion is very mysterious. Sometimes they talk about it with relish, but they dare not set foot in it casually. There may be gains in the matter. It has come to this point. After spending more than 3 years exploring, Chen Qingyun, Zigranny and others did not mind taking a closer look, and nodded in agreement. Chapter 849, The Methods of Old Monster Yan. As the organizer, Li Mubing saw that Baoang had not expressed his opinion, so out of respect, he still asked, "Senior Lu, there may be dangers in this Xian Cave Mansion. I wonder if you are interested?" The implication was that he wanted to seek Baoang's protection. Baoang nodded and said, "Let's go and have a look." Baoang agreed, which made Luo Huzi and Yan Leogui look very happy. Even Songzhen and Zhu Ying, who had always been seldom talking, were delighted and talked in a low voice about this Xian Cave Mansion. After a brief rest, they took out pills or spirit stones to absorb and restored some mana, and continued to move forward towards the eastern part of the central mountain range. The closer they got to the cave area along the way, the more ghost fog began to increase. Almost every 10 miles, they had to fight. Wen Xiaoman could always detect abnormalities in advance and remind everyone to prepare for battle. Songzhen's Silver Soul body was already strong enough to fight against the Golden Elixir Ghost Cultivators. She repeatedly found opportunities to assist Wen Xiaoman and Li Mubing in killing Ghost Cultivators. The Ghost Cultivators in the early stage of the nascent soul could not last more than 5 moves in the hands of Baoang, and were completely suppressed by the Yan Huang Bell and Tianyan double swords. After 6 battles, everyone recovered while fighting, and each consumed some elixirs, and finally saw the cave area from afar. This cave area is located in the place with the richest spiritual energy in the central mountain range. What is more peculiar is that the terrain here is not located at the highest point of the mountain range, but at the lowest point. Generally speaking, the higher the spiritual vein is, the richer the spiritual energy there is, but here it is just the opposite. Such an environment naturally makes several people inevitably study it carefully. The netherworld aura here is very rich, and it has gathered into a black ocean, lingering in the sky, covering one side of the sky. Looking up, it is like a night hanging high above the head, which looks very strange. This is particularly different from the ghost fog lingering in other areas. When Xiaoman paid close attention, apart from discovering that there were ghost cultivators hiding in the ghost fog, there was nothing strange. It was just that the ghost fog was above his head, and he always felt that the sky was about to fall, which made the atmosphere extremely depressing and tense. Old Monster Yan cast a 4th level spiritual talisman, releasing 3 suns hanging high above his head, reflecting the world. The high temperature of the flames emitted by the 3 suns dispelled a large amount of ghost fog, just like 3 bonfires in the cold night, piercing part of the darkness. This move immediately attracted everyone's attention. 4th level, Fantasy Sun Talisman. Luo Huzi recognized the origin of this spiritual talisman at a glance. His face was a little surprised. He glanced at the 3 suns in the sky, and then looked at Old Monster Yan. Old Monster Yan was silent at this moment. His expression was quite solemn, and he was completely different from his previous indifference. He seemed to have sensed some extremely dangerous existence, and a battle was about to break out at any time. As one of the most powerful means of Yan Leogui, the power of the Fantasy Sun Talisman lies in that it can release pure fire power to fight the enemy. Its power is equivalent to the full force of a peak giant and cultivator, and it can launch a self-destruction attack, which can instantly explode a large range of lethality. On weekdays, Yan Legui treats this trump card as a treasure, so why is he willing to use it actively at this moment? This caused Luohuzi to be puzzled, and he also realized that this place is definitely not as simple as it seems, and he must be very alert. In this strange environment, how could Luohuzi and Yan Legui's actions be hidden from the eyes of Chen Qingyun and others? Yan Legui, who rarely takes the initiative to cast a talisman, did not start a battle at this moment. He actually cast a 4th level talisman early, which made Chen Qingyun take a closer look. What, did he notice in advance? Chen Qingyun secretly controlled the 8 desolations, opened his spiritual sense, and scanned carefully in all directions, and indeed found something wrong. In the ghost fog above their team, a large number of ghost cultivators were already following and moving, covering the sky like a black cloud. They completely hid their bodies with the help of the ghost fog. For example, there were at least 100 giant and ghost cultivators, including a ghost cultivator in the middle stage of Yuanying. After discovering this, it was not surprising to compare it with the actions of Old Monster Yan at the moment. This Old Monster Yan's spiritual sense is quite mature. Luohuzi invited him to help, which is indeed commendable. Chen Qingyun looked at Old Monster Yan with a new look. Because the ghost fog will weaken the effect of spiritual sense, even if the giant and cultivator is here, the spiritual sense cannot penetrate too deep into the ghost fog. But according to the location of those ghost cultivators, ordinary giant and cultivators really can't find them. Before, when crossing the ghost fog area and flying directly to the 5 Elements Island, Old Monster Yan did not show such insight. It seems that he obviously held back and retained his strength. It really fits the saying that none of these giant and cultivators are simple. They all seem to have similar strengths, but in fact they all have tricks up their sleeves that they won't easily reveal until the critical moment. Thinking of this, Chen Qingyun looked at Wen Ziyumen. The woman also noticed this and leaned towards Bang, her eyebrows slightly furrowed. Mu Dao Ren, Li Mubing and others also noticed that the atmosphere was very depressing, and guessed that the behavior of Old Monster Yan was very abnormal, and there must be some threats lurking around. Mu Dao Ren guessed roughly, and in order to ease the atmosphere, he still asked, Dao Yan, you actually cast this 4th level talisman so early, but what's wrong? Old Monster Yan said thoughtfully, everyone should be careful of the ghost fog above your head and beware of the nascent soul ghost cultivators in it. There is another strange thing, the ghost fog here is far away from the ground, it seems to be very afraid of something on the ground. This is not reasonable. There must be something wrong with this abnormal situation, we should be more vigilant. That's right, it's still Brother Dallas Yan who is careful. There are indeed some strange things here, we must not be careless. Mu Dao Ren nodded, took out a 3rd level pill and swallowed it, quickly recovered some mana to ensure that he would not be a drag. After leaving the library, walking all the way here, everyone's mana consumption was not small, and they would take pills from time to time to recover. In order to save mana, the talisman became the most convenient way to kill the enemy. This is also one of the reasons why Old Monster Yan cast the Phantom Sun talisman. After walking about 20 miles, the sky was still covered with ghost fog, which made people feel very depressed. Just when everyone's magic power was almost restored, the ghost fog above their heads suddenly surged violently, and more than 30 ghost cultivators flew down and launched a sneak attack. It's really endless. Luohuzi's heartstrings were tense. He guessed that he would encounter this, and immediately sacrificed the Thunderstorm Hammer. Thunderstorm Hammer, a 4th level top-grade thunder attribute magic weapon. Li Mubing and others had already been alert and were about to take action, when the Old Monster Yan hummed. We've been waiting for this moment. As soon as the voice fell, a round of phantom sun above the Old Monster Yan's head quickly soared into the sky, bringing a trail of flames and hitting the ghost cultivators who were rushing towards him. Chapter 850 Golden Winged Insect. Boom. A loud noise suddenly sounded. This round of phantom sun shot up into the sky and exploded like a bomb. It released scorching hot flames, blowing all the ghost cultivators who rushed to it into pieces. This attack directly disintegrated the enemy's attack. 3 of the giant and ghost cultivators were killed and had no power to fight back. As a 4th level top-grade spiritual talisman, the power of the Phantom Sun talisman is quite amazing. A round of Phantom Sun self-explosion is enough to wipe out the peak giant and cultivator. The attack failed, and the Hunyuan ghost cultivator and the ghost fog gathered momentum to move again, controlling a large number of ghost cultivators to attack again. Do you really think we are easy to bully? Whoa, Huzi shouted, with anger on his face. The thunderstorm hammer grew larger in the air, turning into a mountain, releasing a violent thunder force, and restrained more than a dozen ghost cultivators with one attack. This kind of attack also achieved the effect of killing instantly. When this kind of metal magic weapon is used, it can completely kill the opponent with brute force, full of violent aesthetics. Rumble a few times. The thunderstorm hammer is extremely powerful. With one hammer, it blew up a giant and ghost cultivator. Then, under the control of Lowell Huzi, the magic weapon itself was thundering, and 9 thunders were struck again. This wave of attack can be said to be comparable to the power of heaven. In one fell swoop, the 2 giant and ghost cultivators and 3 Xifu ghost cultivators in front were blown up, which further boosted the morale. Save some mana, save some mana. It's really hard for me, an old man. Mew, Daoran muttered, and while observing everyone's actions, he did not forget to control the Shinmu magic staff as a backup on the spot to maintain mana for several people. In order to provide efficient support, Mu Daoran even took out a high-quality spirit stone and absorbed the power of the spirit stone to maintain his own mana. Chen Qingyun did not hesitate and activated a thunderstorm skyfire talisman, using the power in the talisman to suppress the ghost cultivators. Under the power of the thunderstorm skyfire, the giant and ghost cultivators were all wiped out. At the same time. Under the control of Bang, the Tianyan double swords turned into 2 sword lights and pierced into the ghost fog. To catch a thief, first catch the leader. The Tianyan double swords burst out with dazzling sword light, locking the Yuanying ghost cultivator who was making trouble behind the scenes. The battle lasted only a dozen moves, and as the Tianyan double swords moved back and forth in the ghost fog, the sword light reflected the sky. Soon, accompanied by a shrill ghost howl, the culprit was strangled by a sword. Seeing the leader being killed, the rest of the ghost cultivators immediately fled in a swarm, not daring to make trouble again. This battle ended quickly, played a good deterrent role, and was witnessed by many ghost cultivators around. Everyone kept moving, each took back their magic tools, remained vigilant, and continued to set off. In the subsequent journey, many ghost cultivators in the ghost fog circled for a long time and followed the footsteps of the crowd. In the end, they were all afraid and did not dare to launch another attack. After consuming some mana again, it was not only old monster Yan who took out the spirit stone to recover. Even Granny Z held a top-grade spirit stone in her hand, and did not forget to continue to control the white cloud magic weapon and cast spells to protect everyone. Li Mubing and Yuying also cast magic weapons around their bodies and took a few pills to restore their mana. Just like this, they walked and recovered. After more than an hour, the view ahead became wider. This place is already deep in the 5 Elements sect area, still on the central mountain range, and soon arrived at the cave area. This made everyone slightly relieved. We are finally here. There used to be cultivators gathering here. They should have left some treasures behind. But there must be restrictions in the cave. When the time comes, Luo and old monster Yan will violently dismantle those restrictions. You just need to guard around to prevent ghost cultivators from attacking us. Luo, Huzi said. He was having a headache because he had to fight with ghost cultivators all the way. Although he could win, it was too time-consuming. If we didn't bring enough elixirs and spirit stones as backup, we would have been exhausted to death here. Everyone looked around. This cave area covers a huge area and is built on the central spirit vein. This is the area where high-level cultivators of the 5 Elements sect live. According to rough statistics, there are about 300 caves. Because they have been abandoned for a long time, the caves are covered with vegetation, adding a bit of vitality to the desolate and quiet environment. After successfully arriving here, They began to explore the caves one by one while ensuring safety. As Luohuzi said, every cave has a restriction. Most of the restrictions have dissipated on their own because of their age, wind and rain, or the pollution of the netherworld. A small number of restrictions are still preserved because of their high grade, and the cave owner has set up layers of defense. However, in front of Luohuzi and Old Monster Yen, two formation masters, these restrictions have no effect and can be violently dismantled. Exploring the first cave, because the protective restrictions have long dissipated. It is already covered with dust and there are no valuable treasures. The restrictions in the second cave are intact. After a violent dismantling, some refining jade slips and 2 third-level puppet beasts that have exhausted their spiritual power were harvested. The third cave has a large medicinal garden. Unfortunately, no one has taken care of it for more than 600 years. 80 to 90% of the spiritual herbs have withered, and only a few second and third level spiritual medicines survive. The fourth, fifth, and 10th caves. The situation of these caves is similar. Basically, there is no harvest, but more are some daily necessities. In this way, everyone will carry out team actions here for the next few days to ensure that no one will embezzle the treasures. As the residence of the high-level officials of the Five Elements sect, from the perspective of the layout of the caves, there are many sophisticated and selfish people who decorate the caves beautifully and gorgeously, like a fairyland. There are also some people with deep scheming who set traps and restrictions in the caves. There are 3 such caves, all of which are filled with poisonous gas or Zhuxiantu water. Once the cultivator touches it, he will be poisoned immediately. There are more than a dozen caves. Not only are the restrictions well preserved, but their owners have also specially set up formations to guard against outsiders. Fortunately, after years of destruction and no one to cover them, the power of these formations has been greatly reduced, and they were violently dismantled by Luohuzi and Yen Legui. It seems that in such a cave with layers of defense, there are often unexpected gains. Usually, alchemy furnaces, refining furnaces, spirit stones and other items are collected. In one of the caves, a kind of golden-winged spiritual insect was raised. This cave was built into a flower sea world, with spiritual springs, small lakes, artificial suns and other facilities to breed spiritual insects. This spiritual insect is called the golden-winged insect, which looks like a beetle and has a very strong bite force. It can easily bite through pig iron and tear apart magic tools. There are more than 8,000 golden-winged insects, all of which are of the third-level middle-grade bloodline. They are not picky about food, and they like to devour objects with spiritual power the most. They have a very strong destructive power and are already a rare and precious spiritual insect. Golden-winged insect. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.